Well, because I'm gonna put us up there.
All right, internet time. Everyone now uploading.
Yeah, right. Mute that.
Hello. Girl, come on up. Oh, it's time to give you hugs. What up? Hugs.
Oh, what's up, man?
Fuck up. Stay away.
We just went live.
Did you really?
Yeah, so we're just waiting for people to sort of show
That
up.
was on there.
Yeah, grab a seat, man.
Yeah. Let's squeeze in there. Who's that way, man?
Oh, you're okay. Now you're okay with being close to us, but you can't give me a fucking hug.
That is
Can't give me a
hilarious.
fucking hug.
Yo, move that way, bro.
I'm gonna fucking give you a
I can't
fat
blame
kiss.
him on that one.
I'm gonna give you a fat kiss.
Oh. Shoot down that way or something?
I'm at the end. I think I'm ready. I'm good. I think
I don't know.
you can move this back slightly, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you get the end. You get a cuddle with me, Chris.
Oh, fuck off, bro.
Hey, that's Jimmy's seat.
Oh, you got. Oh, okay.
Get over there.
You go over there because you're smoking.
Wait, motherfucker, you guys are late.
You're smoking now.
Here, I'll fucking throw it out. There you go.
You gotta stomp it out too.
Yeah, go stomp it out.
Yeah, right. Just talking
Oh my god, you gonna be that much of a bitch?
It's Cronus, bro.
God damn.
Not my cigarette, dude.
I love how this is like being recorded right now.
You're that much of a fucking weenie.
I don't smoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
What
just
up,
saying,
Corey?
I don't smoke, dude.
How's it going, brother?
I'm gonna have to have this on me so I can read the chat because I'm so far away from the screen.
What's up, Corey?
Yeah, like a big magnifying glass.
Yeah, well, I got
Corey
it.
says,
Wait,
what's
I got
up?
more room. You should be able to get in.
You want to scoot down?
Yeah, you might want to move it back and over.
Dude, I'm like still on screen, so
Yeah,
you're good.
we got that wide angle lens on there.
You're not even in
There's
the
tons
screen.
of
You're gonna
room.
scoot-
Well,
you
I
have to
know.
scoot
You
in.
got to move down like half a foot.
Wait, I do. Well, I'm like right up on Jamie.
Like, no, I know. Move back. though.
Yeah,
Oh
Buzz,
my
having a
god,
bitch
dude!
fit.
Seriously?
I mean, if you
Scoot
guys
And for
over.
once, I'm not the cause of it.
dude.
If you
I'm
scoot over
totally
just a
not
little
trying
bit,
to
you'll
be
be in the
difficult, dude.
screen.
Like, dude, I'm just trying to
Yes.
get in, dude. I'm
Well,
just trying to
scoot
get in,
over
bro.
then. There you go.
That's what I was trying to do, but
There was tons of room.
I mean, you're kind of like this big, dude. You know, like you take up half the
You're gonna come here,
screen.
so whining. God damn.
There
Well,
we
it's
go.
nice to have you, Chris.
Hey.
Damn, dude. I mean,
I just like that it proves that I'm not always the asshole to Bo.
dude. I wasn't even being an
I
asshole.
didn't say you were.
What did you want me to move all the way the fuck
It's
over
just
there?
the way that they read it.
I just-
You know you're live
I
right
just
now.
I just
Yeah, I
wanted to
don't
sit
give a
down.
fuck.
Throwing a bitch
I just
fit.
wanted to sit down.
Cool.
Sweet.
So we're still waiting a couple minutes for everyone to join.
I like your mask. Very stylish.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Matching thong.
This is my COVID-19 mask.
Does that really do anything?
Yes, it does.
There it is. Yeah, there's one underneath. You just can't see it.
No, it does.
What does it do?
When I'm quarantining, not sitting next to some dirty ass.
Do you
Quarantining.
drive around with it on?
And we're playing musical
Yeah.
chairs.
It's not
Sorry.
No, I'm curious. Do you drive
Let's not
around
talk
with
about it right now.
Right, do you drive around with it on?
That's neither here nor there, bud.
Answer the question, Chris. Yeah. I
Oh,
was like,
dude.
fuck.
So earlier we went and stopped by the post office, and I saw this dumb ass motherfucker trying to back. I cut my ear. We're sitting in the car after we picked up some stuff at the post office. I hear an engine revving really loud. Well, it's a fucking SUV rolling back. I'm like, dumbass is not in gear. They put it in gear finally and continue to back out, and then you see that they have gloves on the steering wheel. I'm like, okay, now you just contaminated your car, you fucking moron. Then she turns around and drives out of the freaking the property, and then she takes her glove hands and starts pulling her mask off, and then itches her fucking mouth with the gloves, and then continues to drive. Yeah.
Valerie has a
Hashtag
story.
feeding the fucking herd.
Yeah. Valerie
I mean, I
has a
kind of
story.
said it before, you know.
I saw that, yeah.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean,
I have
I'm
a
just-
story for you, John.
I'm-
Uh-oh, let's
We
do this.
know, I heard.
Val's here.
You gotta mute your laptop, babe.
I know.
She's getting situated.
She's
she's got a story on deck.
Here's the setup.
Here, do you want to sit here while you tell your story?
Story time, everybody.
Story time from Val. She's got one too.
This is our daily segment. Story time with Val.
So went to 7-Eleven just down the street, and I went to get Jewel Pods. And I walk into the 7-Eleven. The cashier is helping someone else with gloves, and she has one of those visor face masks. And then she finishes helping him, comes to help me. As she's walking over, she takes a napkin, goes under her mask, and rubs her nose with glove on, throws napkin away. And then I asked her politely, I'm like, hey, can you change your gloves, please? And she was like, why? It's like, because you just touch your face with the gloves, and it's not sanitary.
From day one, we talked about this, right? From day one.
She
Wash
straight
your
up
hands.
got aggressive. She was like, I'm not changing my gloves. And I was like, okay, that's unsanitary. And she was like, I'll go to a different store then. She's like, why don't you just stay home then? As I'm walking out, I'm like, fucker, I can't buy this shit at home.
Right.
Like, if I could, I would. On top of the fact, trying to quit the Juul, other vape juice is coming. And I'm like, all I wanted was my morning cigarette and coffee.
All I wanted was a Pepsi.
Right?
And it's not like, I thought, I've had hours to just.
We had the
grill
one,
this.
it was 2 weeks ago. We were at Nob Hill waiting in line, and this dude pushes his cart out. He has a mask, the gloves. He fucking takes off the gloves, throws them in the garbage can, grabs the cart again, and pushes off. I'm like, I don't think you're understanding how this works, guys.
That's what, like, just because you're wearing gloves does not mean the germs are not transferred.
Yeah, and it doesn't even
Like-
have to be this whole fucking coronavirus
That's
bullshit.
what-
This could be any germ.
Any
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I just touched my lips right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just
Yeah.
like not right, dude. Don't touch me, dude. Dude, they're gonna
Hey, 6
see-
feet, motherfucker.
I told Jamie, I was like, I would have said something regardless of the situation we're in. Like, if you're gonna wear gloves, be hygienic about it. Like, don't sit there and think just because you have gloves on that you rubbing your nose. And it's not like I had an item from the shelf that I picked up and went to her to scan. She's touching my item the entire time. She has to grab it from behind the counter,
Right.
scan it herself, ask me and touch my ID. Like, all these other things. I'm like, no.
You know, the worst is about that is, I bet everyone's going to agree right now, is when you go to fucking Subway.
Oh, God. I had
They got those
arguments.
big old hand condoms, and they're like touching everything. They itch their face, and then they do the register, and it's the same fucking gloves all the time.
I got in
Dude, I
so
see
many
it.
arguments.
It's in their balls, probably.
I see it everywhere, dude.
Safeway,
it just-
they used to use the same knife to cut my sandwich as
Oh,
the
yeah.
previous person. I'm like, I don't want their sandwich goop on my
Well,
sandwich.
yeah,
That's
even
gross.
without germs, right?
Even
Like
without
that's
germs.
just
I don't
yeah.
like mustard. I will tell if there's mustard on there.
Right.
Guess what? Like,
keep that jalapeno spread off my shit.
I mean, how did we survive this long without social distance?
I know you see that one about the cavemen, like
Because
our
this is-
ancestors
this is
like
advanced
survived in
introduction.
caves and killed animals and
You are
tigers
right
and all
about
this
that.
shit, but we can't.
It definitely
Yeah.
is not as big as they made it out to be.
Oh yeah, I posted the numbers today. It was what was it, Bo? It was in California. It
Not
was,
even 1,100.
Yeah, it was like 1,000 was 72. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's the flu has bigger numbers than that.
yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it's the transmission
I'm gonna get my seat back.
because it's
Jamie,
fast.
seat back.
The what is? I'm sorry.
It's
The
not,
The transmission.
transmission of how it's spreading. you mean?
Transmitting. Yeah, transmitting. It's so easily.
Oh, I mean, I like
because
trains, so
because it stays on everything for so long.
But so is the flu.
no, it doesn't.
No, not as long as not as long.
I
as
don't buy any of their
Sticks
shit, dude,
around.
on that crap. I don't think it stays any longer than any of the other ones.
Really,
I just-
until I got laid off, I was working at fucking Apple, coming into contact with fucking hundreds of thousands of people a day.
Well, you may have
Thank you
gotten
for
it.
your story. That was amazing. By
I
the way,
haven't
thank you,
gotten
Val.
fucking affected. The only thing I've changed is I
Do you
might
know if
wash
you have
my hands.
antibodies?
So the fact is that less than
I got
8%
pro-bodies.
of the population has got it. Less than 1%.
I got pro.
Yeah, but they don't want.
You're more
Other
likely to
people-
die in a car accident than you are from the coronavirus.
Shark attacks are way worse.
Yeah,
But what? Are you not going to drive anymore?
but if you can slow down the spread of it, why not?
Well, that's up to you, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's everybody's own personal decision, right?
It's
Well,
not though, right?
I'm
should
just
be.
saying-
Should
Well,
be.
it should
I mean,
be. Should
yeah,
be. And that's why we're here.
Right.
That's why we're talking
Absolutely.
about this.
Breaking the law.
I absolutely believe, and I still, have since the very beginning that there is a COVID virus that's moving around and killing people. We've seen evidence of that
yeah.
all over the place. So the virus is out there. Whether or not it's as deadly as they make it out to be, whatever.
That's a do your research kind of a thing,
Yeah,
right? That
but
should be
do
on an
your
individual
research,
basis.
take doctor's advice. But when the government gets involved and starts limiting movement, what you can purchase at stores, now it's an issue of control. And because it's an issue of control, now I'm not going to social distance myself.
Right.
Not
You still be smart.
I mean, in a smart way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
sure.
I'm not going to
So-
limit my movement because because the government.
Well, you said that from the first.
Yeah.
You said that when they tell you can't do anything, that's when you're gonna have a problem, and that's what happened.
Yeah, so
Yes, sir.
kind of going back into what you said, like how did we survive this long without social distancing? The answer to that, I think, I'm not a doctor, right, but is a herd immunity. That whole philosophy that if we all have a little bit of everything inside of us, it makes us all immune. That's why you let your kids play with other kids that have chicken pox when they're little, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it does come down to an individual level, because once it does start to be about control, you have to do your own due diligence and see, okay, we've sort of made a herd immunity among our group of people. You haven't been hanging out with us as much, but you're doing the same in your group of people that you deal with on a daily basis. So you then bring in yourself into our environment. We're actually working on the herd immunity as well, because you're going to take. I mean, we're not touching each other. The contact is very limited, right? That sort of a thing.
Well, I mean, it's a respiratory virus. So like, if
I
one
put my hand on
it
his leg.
it would be in this area here.
Yeah.
But we know, like, I've been quarantining. I know you guys have.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all working.
Yeah, well, we have. I mean, we're
but-
staying in our
I mean,
own.
How long? I mean, you guys have been together for the last 20 days, right?
Oh,
And
fuck
nobody's
yeah.
sick.
No.
Well,
Right.
I mean, there
I go
you
to the
go.
store every day and I'm still
Yeah,
not
that's
sick.
what I'm
Yo,
saying.
bro, I'm sick as fuck, yo.
He's down with
Yeah,
the stuff.
boy.
He's down with the sickness.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look,
I'm also dope.
as arrogant as the human race is, we're never going to beat Mother Nature.
Sure.
She'll win. She'll win if she wants.
Yeah.
If she wants to.
Sure.
I don't think this is a full scale
This ain't
war on
shit.
human beings. You know,
The numbers prove
this is
ain't
kind of like
shit.
this is kind
This
of
is
like
less than fucking the swine flu.
Iraq attacking the U.S. or something.
Yeah, did they shut down the world for the swine
Wow.
flu? They didn't.
But I mean, by social distancing, we're
It's-
buying into the bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so what happens when the next virus comes
It
out? We're
should-
going to shut down the economy again?
It shouldn't be
We're gonna do
social
this every
distancing. It
fucking
should
year?
have hygiene.
Yeah.
Be smart.
It's a hygiene.
That's really what
It's
it
a
should
doctor thing. It's not a
be.
government.
Yeah, it's what they
thing.
would normally tell you
Yeah.
when you go to the
It's
doctor.
not a
Don't get
government-
how to not get a cold or a
It's
flu.
not the government's job
That's all it is.
to do this.
It's not
Doctors. This is a job of doctors. There's a whole network of doctors all over the world, I'm sure, who are waiting for this kind of stuff.
So this
I mean, Jamie, do you think that if the government wasn't here, doctors would just watch people die?
No, hell no.
Of course.
I don't.
So why do we need a
A matter
government
of fact,
besides
you
to
could
get in
also
our way?
argue. You could also argue that they had a slower response in that term or in that tense because
Regulation.
for regulation for one, and of course the government is the way everyone looks at. They're in charge,
Right.
so we have to hear from them first,
Right.
and then they will
Right.
find me if I'm a doctor or a government doctor and bring me on to tell you. But instead, if it was a freedom world,
That
we would
damn
actually
herd
have
mentalities everywhere.
exactly.
isn't it?
People would have just came out and started. All the doctors would have started saying shit, right?
Right. So the way I look at it is the reason why we have the whole like the CDC, right, and the WHO and all that sort of stuff is because you need to have
The Who's a kind of cool band.
you need to have a government
Really want to know.
resource that you can pull out and bring into the public, right, and say this is why these are the people that we trust. This is why we have to
Right.
listen to them. And then all the hysteria that follows is because of all the people like shouting out to government, do something about this pandemic, do something about this pandemic, do something about this pandemic. Now we have a quarantine, and this is exactly what they all asked for. The government is limiting our movement. They're limiting the businesses that can be open. And this is all because people are craving regulation. People are wanting the government to do something about this pandemic. And unfortunately, the only thing they know how to do is just ruin the economy by shutting down all the businesses and then trying to then
It's overreact.
band-aid it
Yeah.
by sending everyone a stimulus check when, it probably could have been dealt with a little bit differently. Like, I don't know, maybe quarantining the infected people. I don't know.
Well, that's what they've done in the past. When someone's been sick with the SARS or whatever the fuck it would have been, right?
Mhm.
The person that's infected are the ones that get quarantined, not the country.
Not the
And then you
99%
destroy the
of
whole entire
population.
fucking economy. Look at the
So-
unemployment numbers versus the infected.
But then all they have to do as a government is say, you asked us to do something. these are the doctors that we trusted and you should trust, and here's what they said to do, so we're doing it. And it's this loop of like, you told us to do it, so we asked the doctors, here's what the doctors said because you asked us to do it. So you know what I mean? It just goes in a circle.
Right.
The thing
Well,
is
isn't that just like government though?
But it is.
like you pointing fingers and
the blame game.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
It's circular reasoning.
Right. So why don't we just eliminate the step of the government and let the doctors and the nurses and the hospital administrators and the people who know what they're doing, the virologists,
because you're a communist, that's why.
why don't we just let them do what they know how to do, what they've been training for years to do?
Sounds like a flat earther.
Right?
See, that's called.
That's what they
thinking for
keep
yourself,
saying.
Chris.
Anyone that's protesting
They don't like-
quarantine right now.
No, I don't think for myself. No.
Is that hilarious? That they're calling everyone
Follow the pack, man.
Yeah, if you think that the quarantine is wrong, you're probably a flat earther. Is what they're all saying now. I've seen it like 3 times today.
Yeah.
It's like what?
I mean, think about it, dude. Communists are getting a check right now. Of course, they're going to say the Earth is round.
They fall in line real quick. And there's
Right.
money involved.
They're going to get a check. Like that's not his money. That's our money.
Well, Corey, to follow
Kind
up
of
on your
thing.
statement, suicides
You know?
have actually gone up.
Yeah, suicides have done it.
Domestic violence and suicides have gone up.
I haven't looked at the studies, so I don't know.
Oh, it has.
I don't know. I would have to check those studies.
We know
I don't-
theft and domestic violence have gone up because
I've been listening to the scanner, and there's still like even today there was one in Santa Clara County and one in Gilroy. I was listening for an hour, and they were like people going fucking crazy in their house, and they went to go get them. One they had to run out see if they had firearms. They had firearms. They're confiscating the guy's firearms. That was all happening
Well,
an
shit.
hour before.
All the criminals are home, man. They know exactly who
It
to
wasn't a
get 'em.
criminal.
Are they?
Well, I mean, that's what
He wasn't
that's
a
what I
criminal.
think they think that we are.
You think the criminals are
I mean,
saying,
do
"Oh,
you feel
fuck
like you're
no."
in prison right now?
Oh, well, all of us, yeah.
Not really,
You mean in
because-
general, yeah.
It's
So we're all
also fucking
yeah.
prison.
We're fucking criminals.
On planet bullshit.
The galaxy of the sucks and camel dicks.
Oh shit! What else is going on in the chat? You can see better than any of us.
That was pretty much it. I mean, so Chris, are you once they say this is over, are you going to go back to normal?
What's
Not
normal?
not wearing the mask
What's
or
normal?
social distancing. I'm just
In
kidding.
public? Nah, I probably just keep wearing it.
Why?
'Cause
Why?
I'm a fucking ninja, bro.
No, you're not.
God damn it.
dude, why do you think it's
No,
black?
I'm not
Jesus,
being
dude.
serious. I'm asking because
Oh my god.
I'm.
Valerie, help me.
He doesn't
What?
even know.
You can't even
You
answer
got
the
your own
question.
hole, dude.
No,
Wait, careful with the
You
table.
Yeah. No, I would probably stop wearing a mask, of course. I don't know.
You've been wearing a mask every time you go out?
Mhm.
So he's the only one that does. Do you
Yeah.
do it?
No.
Yeah.
I wear it on my neck
It's
in case,
okay, I mean, do
in
it.
case they ask me to.
Right.
But I
I'm not
don't.
gonna do it. It's
No, I only pull it up when I'm in like getting close to a crowd of people or something.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, but
that makes sense to me.
dude,
you know?
Really?
honestly, the thing, what you're doing is courteous at this point,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
it's one of those things-
That's basically what I'm doing.
I found myself the other day where like I was trying to explain to some dude because he didn't understand how the line worked. Like he was stoned out of his mind or something. He had like a bag of chips and like a drink in his hand. And I'm like it was like trying to get him to
Happy
figure it out. But he
420.
like walked like right near me, like all close. Like, why do they want us to stand back here? I was like, you don't have to talk into my face, man. Just go fucking stand over there. And like he just couldn't understand like where the line was.
So we all need to wear masks to be safe, right? But I can't carry a fucking gun.
Womp.
Logic.
Wait till they outlaw masks.
Oh, they already did before this, right?
Yeah. No, wait
So-
till they do it for real this time.
No, but I mean, they did. You can't wear a mask in public. I actually did a whole thing about that. I'm like, by law, you're not allowed to wear a mask in public. Like, you can't. It's considered you're like a criminal or whatever, right?
Yeah,
You can't wear it.
your face.
Yeah, they've already done that. Like,
Wow.
you can't. But now it doesn't matter.
I remember that.
So fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it depends on. I don't
Now
think
they
it's
want
not a
us.
federal.
See
law.
how arbitrary laws are?
Right.
Like one week
Sure.
they want us. They don't
Abs-
want us to wear a mask in public. Now
Absolutely.
they want
bro.
everybody.
Yeah.
So see, this is why.
Have you
this
been
is-
staying up on my apocalypse videos? I feel like you haven't.
No.
Yeah. Exactly.
wow.
He's missing out.
Yeah, exactly.
Some
We
pride.
had that whole. And we just had that whole thing. I said, look, I'm in the store wearing a mask. I have a black hoodie. I'm wearing all black on it. Gloves, everything, right?
Right.
And it's like, if I came in here 2 months ago, they would be calling the cops right now, right? But now I can walk around as normal. And they're even less scared of me, like people dodging around me. They're actually more comfortable walking by me. Like when I had people walk by me, they're just kind of barely moving. when I took the mask off and I was walking down the aisles, because then after the video, I didn't care. They literally will like either change aisles or they'll like go all the way to the edge of the aisle and hide from you as you walk by.
That's strange.
Every week, it is bizarre as fuck, but it is what it is.
That's just strange.
Yeah, that every single week we go to
Why do people
Nauvoo.
act so weird, dude?
They're fucking
Come on.
scared, bro.
Can you not act fucking weird?
Dude, everyone
that's
that
talking, not get nice and close to you.
everyone
you
is
not to freak
chicken
out.
shit
Now
pussies.
you're fucking freaking out. Why are you freaking out? Just chill out. Right?
Everyone's freaking out, bro. That's really what it is.
That's what it is.
They're being
man.
pussies.
We diagnosed it.
It's like I was like saying like last week before we even had those couple of memes this week that actually came out. I was like, dude, coming out like going with the statism factor of how we founded this country, right? Like the founding fathers would be stacking bodies. They'd be ashamed of all of us for acting the way that we're acting. Like this is insane. Like they would be pissed.
Yeah.
Like this is insane. They started a country
This is
over way less than what's going on right now.
This is kind of ridiculous to me right now. Like, why aren't more people standing up?
They're all sheep. They all because so the ones that normally would
This is
stand up
getting
are a
weird,
bunch of
dude.
fucking Trumpers, right?
This is getting weird, dude.
And then you have the fucking now you have all the Trumpers starting to like rise up now. When now they're like protesting because they're the ones doing it.
I mean, just take the politics out completely.
Mhm.
I mean, why aren't more people just going outside? I mean, what? I mean, really, what?
You got to look deep into your friends list, right? And
God,
and just think for a second, like there
God.
are people in there. They don't want free will. Like they don't. Like they just want
They
to.
really don't.
They want to be controlled. They want to be regulated. Like there's so many people are willing to just look to the
Really
government
sad
to
to
solve
me,
their
man.
problems when it's like you don't understand that like we could abolish that whole thing with like 3% of the population.
It's funny. I did that yesterday. I only made it to C, and I was like, yeah, I can't delete anyone. It would
Really?
be all. It would be all of them.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like it gets right there, man. Like fucking.
Jamie, I love that you have a bird living in the tree up there.
Oh, yeah,
dude.
that's our roommate.
Dude, that's awesome, dude.
They should be close to hatching now.
It's so like it's so
His
calm, like
babies.
in the
I love it.
weirdest place, and the bird is just flies in and out like nobody's business.
She's like I've noticed
Once
like,
again, we are outside.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
outside.
you'll notice too, like sometimes you'll see the robin will either be on the fence or on the table, and sometimes she goes right on that green stack of chairs right there before she jumps up there. But like she'll post up and kind of make sure that we're not like fucking with it, and then she'll jump up there. So
And
it's
you're
like,
cool with that?
I think we do
Yeah.
have chickens.
Female just robbing you, and you're good with that?
She's chill, man.
That's
She's chill.
fucked
It's
up, bro.
voluntary. It's
Oh.
voluntary. We
Well,
agreed
it's
on
not
it.
really
It's
Robin
robbery.
then.
Yeah, we
Pleasure. It's more for pleasure.
it's a love.
It's a pleasure thing.
I think we do have chicks. I just saw her bring a worm.
So
Oh,
the
really?
Robin's chicks.
I don't.
Davis.
I took a picture of it with my camera when we had one egg up there, but now I'm afraid to even get that close to it
Yeah.
because I don't want to get my scent
Right.
on the nest
Yeah.
because I don't want her to abandon it.
Well, if you
Right.
wear your mask and gloves, you should be
I
fine.
should be fine. Yeah, fresh gloves.
Switch out the gloves. I mean, we try. I mean, like today I worked and we try. We try to stay away from each other. But,
Well, so
I mean,
people that are at work and they have a policy, they have to do whatever.
we
I
try.
don't-
Even at work,
yeah,
we
sure.
try. But I mean, it's just impossible.
Yeah, you can't go to the beach, you can't go out, you can't do things, but you can go to Walmart and Safeway and the
Yeah.
post office where everyone's coughing and doing everything, wearing the gloves, touching everything.
You would think they would want us like in places where people aren't congregating.
Right.
You know.
When I work, like I work I drive for work, right? So like it's me and one other guy in the cab of a van. Like it's just like, well, we can't social distance.
Right, it's
you know?
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if you think about it, take that herd mentality even further because him and I have close contact with
Right.
one another basically throughout the day, and then he goes home and brings whatever
His
whatever
circle
we
of
transfer.
friends and people are that, and then your
Mhm.
circle. So it's not really stopping anything. Really,
It's
Right.
really
it's not.
But it
Everyone's
is-
going out.
It is
People are being more precautious. So yes,
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with
but
that.
it's like shit, there's still so much
It's
cross
still-
contamination
yeah,
going on.
I mean, how-
It's so simple.
The herd mentality works because we all congregate together, right? Like we all mix together. I mean, we spread germs and diseases,
Mhm.
whatever, amongst each other.
herd immunity and
Right.
herd mentality.
Or herd immunity. Yeah, I meant herd immunity. So we developed that herd immunity because we're a herd, meaning that we're together,
Mhm.
like we're all. And when we social distance, then that percentage drops that of producing that herd mentality protein or whatever it is. It requires,
Well,
it
it's
fights
not.
that.
It isn't one thing in particular. Right?
Well,
Like
what I'm saying is, whatever it is that develops into that herd immunity,
Okay.
we're slowing that. I think we're slowing that down by doing what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're also slowing down the virus, so it's kind of like.
But I mean, at what
And what
cost?
happens
Yeah,
at
right.
when
Right.
it's over
Well, I mean,
and
the
it's
thing
still
is,
out there?
the thing is, like I said, Mother Nature's going to win no matter what. So we need to build up that herd immunity faster, and the only way to do that is by being together and people getting sick and passing and spreading the virus.
Is by
They-
scissoring.
They could end this quarantine shit right now, but people are still going to be scared. It's still going to affect business.
Mhm.
Still going to affect the economy
Yeah.
because you've already given that people the mentality.
Well, I mean, nobody wants their. Let's just be real about this. Nobody wants their loved one to die.
Sure.
Nobody
of course.
wants to pass this on to
Anybody.
like anybody. My mom is diabetic and she has congestive heart failure, so she gets it. I mean, my mom's done, and that's what scares me
Right.
the most.
If she gets the flu.
Is my fear, my unreasonable fear for my mom catching the COVID virus.
Right.
But it's not
And
even
I think-
unreasonable. It's not even unhinged. Like it's unreasonable if you're deathly afraid of it and you're that guy wearing a fucking shower cap with a can of Lysol spraying everywhere. That's unreasonable.
Right.
I think it's very reasonable for you to be cautious and be protective of her health. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I know, but when you start doing things that are counterproductive because you care about somebody.
But you shouldn't be going over and seeing her. then.
Yeah.
No. That's why I
Yeah.
don't go over there. That's why I
Right.
mask up. That's why.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess
That's smart.
the question is too. So the flu kills a lot of people too. Are you that cautious?
It
when
kills
the
more.
flu
It
season?
kills more.
Well, I mean, I don't take the flu vaccine, so
I know,
no,
but are you that cautious?
No,
during
I'm
flu
not.
season?
No.
So then, what's the difference? That's I
Nothing.
guess that's what I'm
The
saying.
hype, really.
Yeah, really. It's,
You know, people are being
There's nothing
overly
different.
cautious right now. They're not that cautious when
I,
flu season.
yeah, but people are dying, and
Flu season is
So?
more.
yeah. Well,
People
I mean,
die every day.
Just saying, it's more.
Every
deaths.
23 seconds, someone dies in a car accident.
Yeah,
So we
I
st-
mean,
we
Well,
supposed to
that's
stop
the-
driving?
yeah.
that's different.
We
dude.
How's
just
that different?
you know,
Because
like
it's
when
just
it
a
comes to the
virus.
elderly or something like that, we
More
we
people
talk
die
about
from
this
car
on all our
accidents,
live
so why
streams.
is it
We
different?
don't
Is that you
really
should
have
be
the
smart
control.
about it, right? Like you shouldn't be going
Yeah.
over and hanging out with the elderly.
Not really.
Or
You
babies,
can still let
right?
people
Like-
drive.
And we've seen a lot of people go to the store carrying their fucking babies. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you shouldn't be doing that if they're in this kind of a panic and everyone's freaking out.
I think it got really overblown, and it's now bloated. It's everywhere.
Oh, it got overblown from day
and
one.
and now like no disrespect to any of the healthcare workers. I think you guys do an amazing job in any kind of crisis situation. I think that when people start hyping like police and fire and medical people, I think those things kind of overbloat everything too. You know, it's all
Truck drivers, grocery store workers
it's all
are doing the
it's all
same
the
shit.
culture behind the politics, behind the control is what it all comes.
Well, that's what it always is. Yeah.
There's a big.
Always comes down to power and control. We've talked about this on the podcast.
Culture and politics, man. It's all control.
So what have you been doing to pass the time? We haven't seen you for a couple weeks. I know you've been working a lot too.
No, actually, I worked 2 weeks ago, and I haven't worked since.
Oh.
So it's been. I just kind of been posted up playing the division.
Yeah, just playing a lot of video games.
The division.
That's mainly what you've been
marketing
doing?
people, yeah.
Yeah, me too, bro. It's been
Me and
just
my son.
marathons, man.
Yeah.
It's been insane.
Dude, it's the best fucking quarantine ever. Thank you. Because I got my snacks, I got my smokes, I got my games. You know,
Bird Friend's back.
everything is
Oh, yeah.
hunky dory at home, and
We just been a lot of alcohol abuse.
that's what it's there
A
for.
lot of alcohol abuse.
Did
and,
you know Bevmo delivers now?
Yes, we know.
Yeah, that was on one of our apocalypse
Yeah,
days.
that was on one.
That was one of our updates.
And I brought it up last
Yeah.
week. I brought it up last week on the live stream.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Corey has a baby chicken on his back door.
A baby chicken?
He has
Or
11.
baby chicks.
He has 11.
Wow, 11 of them.
He thought it was from the video.
Mask and glove check.
He's like, you guys have chickens nearby. I'm like, no, we don't.
Oh. What's
We're
going
not in that part
What's
of it.
going on, Val? What are they saying? What are they telling us? I have no idea what's going on here. Hey.
You have a phone, right?
No, my phone's not good. I'm a poor kid.
A whole lot of nothing going on in the group. Actually, not really.
My wife just asked me a serious question. And she went, I'm asking you, wow. Hi, never mind. Haha. Love it.
Yeah, I'm going through the chat on my phone too.
Yeah,
it's not-
yeah.
I've been keeping
Pull it
up.
up,
It's not
man.
Trying to
really-
catch up. Ooh,
Sure, they don't want to see my big
something
face in
there.
the camera.
Oh, yeah, man. Lots of lots of video games to keep myself entertained. I don't know.
Or something?
There was a day that I put on shorts.
Yeah, it was really hot.
Yeah, it was
Oh, I
nice.
bet that
I haven't put short socks
was
since
nice.
the apocalypse
was nice
began.
back here. Sun just came up.
It's the moon.
No, we've been what? Cooking.
Yeah, cooking, shooting guns, shooting BB guns.
Bow and arrows.
I didn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, our friends are doing that.
oh.
Bonfires galore.
Puzzles.
I got a buddy of mine who's got a
Puzzles.
crossbow that I haven't fired yet. We got to bring that up.
Ooh.
Place out there.
Little bit of video games. Not me, but some of the people at the
I
play.
bet,
It's
yeah.
a lot of movies, a lot of TV.
Movie nights. Yep.
Yeah, definitely barbecuing and cooking.
Yeah.
What movies have you been catching?
Well, last night we did Predator 2
And Hellboy.
and Hellboy, the new one, which
Yeah.
sucks. It's
Oh,
fucking
it's
gay.
horrible.
Yeah.
Is Predator 2? I'm not a huge fan.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I love it.
I love Predator
I love
2.
Okay, so Predator 2 was a whack ass Predator movie, in my opinion.
What?
But I really liked how they tied in the Aliens universe at the end.
Right.
So besides Predator 1, which one do you think is a good Predator movie then?
I liked actually Predators with Adrian
Oh,
Brody.
God, no.
Yeah, I didn't like any of
Oh,
those
come
movies.
on.
And then
You
the
like that better than Predator 2? Oh, hell
Yeah.
no.
Predator 1's the best, obviously.
No.
Predator 2's the next best, and the rest I think are all donkey dick.
Predators
Just
I
me.
thought was okay. Like it did not feel like the first one at all.
Yeah, at
It
least
was
the
like
second
a
one did.
reimagining, right? I don't know. The second one being in the city the way it was just was
Urban
weird to me.
Jungle, fool.
It was weird to me.
Want some candy?
I'm always for the original everything, dude.
Well, sure.
They also
Yeah.
didn't elaborate enough too on like the Predators weaponry. Like that was the first time we ever saw the spear that they throw.
Dude, he did the medic kit thing where he's like,
Yeah.
his arm cut off and he did all that
That's
medical
what I'm saying, dude.
Oh,
It's
did
pretty
he? I'll
badass.
have
In
to watch
Predator
it again.
2, yeah, just watch it again.
Dude,
I
Predator 2
don't
is
really
badass.
like. I didn't think Danny Glover was the right like casting for
He's
it.
not an action star.
Yeah, it should have been like a Bruce Willis type or
Why
something.
are you saying that?
Matter of fact, I said that
He's not an
yesterday
action
because
star.
you know he's
Really?
like
Yeah.
running
You
after
ever heard of
everyone.
Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, but he plays
Yeah.
kind of.
But he's a desk jockey.
Yeah.
How are you
Tossed
saying
out
he's
in
not an
the-
action
I
star?
agree.
He's been in
I agree with Jamie.
Yeah, but
Even
I mean,
like-
he just wasn't good in.
Yeah.
Think about even he was a detective in Seven. Wasn't he Brad Pitt's?
No.
No,
What?
no.
That's Morgan Freeman, fool.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, Danny Glover. He was a.
That's totally.
He was a. Yeah, oh, my bad.
Sorry, dude.
Wow.
I gotta go, dude.
I'm uncomfortable.
Right?
Made myself uncomfortable.
What are you saying? They all look alike
He
or
was-
what?
Hey, he didn't say that.
He played a police officer
Whoa.
in that same like, era in the early '90s, but he played like this unhinged police officer who had like Memento style shit up in his apartment. Again, kind of doing like police stuff where he was like trying to act harder than I thought Danny Glover is. Like he's just not a hard dude. Like he's a fucking.
Yeah.
He looks like a paper pusher who they gave a gun and he's like, I got this. You're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like
I'm getting too old for this shit. It's like his line
I
in
know
every
there was
movie.
that one scene where he's like in this like tunnel and it's like rain is coming down or water's coming down and he's in his tank top and the dude has his daughter and Danny Glover just pulls out his gun and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker.
Motherfucker. Yeah,
Bam!
exactly.
That was it, dude. I was like, Danny Glover.
I'm like, I just don't see how you can not call him an action star when he's
Dude, that was
been
pretty
in
dope, dude.
A shit ton of action.
But that was it.
Nah, I agree with
You
Jamie.
didn't pull it off on
I'm on
Predator.
Jamie's side on this one.
He did
He's
pull
not.
it off, yeah.
He's cool in
He should've-
the Lethal Weapon movies,
should've
but he
been
is
somebody
kind of
else.
like got shoved into the
Almost
position.
like Denzel should have.
So it's like, oh, I got a good example. What's his name? That fucking retard.
I don't think you can say that, Johnny.
Oh, I say that all the time. Like, shit, fucking retard. Nicolas Cage.
Oh god.
Worst action person ever. I don't care if he's in action movies. Worst ever. But he was great in The Rock because
Oh,
of
yeah.
the exact same situation he's talking about, where he's not
The
supposed
Rock
to be
is
that.
badass.
Yeah,
The
and he's
Rock
like,
is
I just
fucking
had to
sick.
do that. Like he had to be
I'll
that
give
guy.
Nicolas Cage. He was good in Con Air too.
No,
I like Con
I hate that movie.
What about Face Off?
I like
Nah,
that movie
don't like
too.
it
You
either.
like Face Off?
Nah.
I love Nicolas Cage. There, I said
Travolta
it.
is better than he was in that movie.
You thought
That's
he'd
pretty
make a good
bad.
Superman too, didn't you?
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
bad.
He's
No.
way
You know
overacted.
that- that
Yeah, he's a
guy-
horrible
that
actor. Oh god, have you guys seen the Ghost Rider movies?
Those are
God.
atrocious.
Those are horrible.
Okay, the first one,
No.
you can deal with it.
No.
The second one is just
Wrong.
like, what the fuck?
Gone in 60 seconds.
That was a good one.
Badass movie.
Yes.
Gone in 60 seconds.
It was
is
good.
badass.
Gone in-
I don't know.
Dude,
I don't
know
like
dudes.
it.
I know dudes that saw that movie.
That was
like
a total ripoff of Fast and Furious,
10
bro.
times in a row. It came out first, didn't it?
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, like,
You're
okay,
old.
okay. So I like the movie. Let's say I like the movie.
Sure.
Okay, I like it.
You're talking
It was
about
okay.
60
We gotta
seconds.
boost
Gone
some
in-
cars, bro.
Gone in
We're gonna
60 seconds.
boost
There were
them.
some very cool cars in there, dude.
Yeah.
But the scene that blew it for me, just total fucking blew it for me, is when he jumped the row of cars on the bridge and they.
And Eleanor, yeah.
Oh, dude, that was whack, dude.
That
was the
movie's
most
horrible.
whack
It was
shit.
like with the Transporter
Oh,
movie when he had the bomb on
dude.
the bottom and he jumped the car upside
Computer
down.
generated.
It's the
Dude,
same
that was
shit.
the
Yeah, it was
worst.
trash.
And he's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah. He's adding antibodies to it.
My,
Ugh,
I'm triggering
dude, that's
herd
funny, bro.
immunity right now.
Yeah, Glover's not. I don't know. Same with Nicolas Cage. I don't like them. I don't think they're good action stars,
So
like
Corey
casting
says
wise.
Jen likes Nicolas Cage in National Treasure.
Yeah, I didn't like those movies.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
steal the
because it's
Declaration
like a
of
kids
Independence.
movie. That's why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's like a
those.
kids movie. So yeah, I could see that.
I
Yeah,
liked him in a movie back in the day called Wild at Heart.
yeah, when he was a vampire.
That was back in the no, that's not even close to the movie. Look up
You-
Wild
you
at
know what
Heart.
movie that is?
That's an old movie. No, I don't know.
Actually,
what you're
there's
talking
one movie I did like him. It's not a well-known one. It's called Lord of War. He's a
Oh, I know.
arms
Oh, yeah.
dealer.
Oh,
actually,
yeah, that was
you know,
alright.
that was a good movie.
That was
Yeah.
okay.
That was a good
Jared
movie.
Leto.
What was the other one he did that was actually decent, but it's still not like really an action star? It was 8mm. Did you see that?
Oh
That
yeah,
was dark as
good,
fuck.
dude.
But see, once again, I still stand by what I'm
They
saying.
should have had a
Doesn't mean that
drama
he's a
actor.
good action star.
The
He's a
script
good
was
actor when he wants to be,
The
Yeah.
script was good,
but he usually does cheesy shit, dude. Like,
but he makes millions.
well,
dude.
sure, I'm not
I
gonna
wish I
say-
could do
well, because he
cheesy
doesn't
shit.
turn down
sure.
a fucking role.
Yeah,
He's an opportunist.
dude, I will
Yeah.
do it, dude.
He's like, oh, you want to make
Oh,
that?
as a
I
matter of
got
fact,
you.
look,
Yeah.
check this out, dude. I
well,
watched
we all
it.
know Highlander is the best action movie ever made. So.
Fuck yeah.
Highlander.
There can be only one fool.
Is it not the one? Jet Li?
Talladega Nights. Remember,
Jet
he's
Li?
like,
What? Jet
remember at
Li.
Talladega Nights, he's saying how Highlander is the best movie.
Fuck yeah.
What was I saying? Forgot. What you did?
It was probably for the best
Yeah,
because we're talking about Nicolas Cage.
Johnny.
Hey, so
Cool
there,
beans.
I call him Nick Cage, bro.
there's a Nick Cage page on Facebook, dude. They add Nick Cage's face to everything.
Hey, he is better
It's
than Chuck
fucking
Norris. I'll
awesome,
give you
dude.
that.
Yeah, Chuck
Fucking
Norris
hate
kinda
Chuck
was.
Okay, something I find very entertaining is like the people who go in like their parents' house and they replace one picture with a picture of Nicolas Cage and they just let it for years just sit like.
I
oh,
had
man,
no
no
idea
one-
that was a thing.
Oh, dude,
Dude,
that's
I
fucking
didn't
hilarious,
know
man.
this.
They're like, it's been 2 years and
Yeah.
they haven't noticed.
If you've never
It's like
seen
all their
fucking
family and friends, and then just like glamour
Nicolas Cage
shot of
troll
Nicolas
pages,
Cage.
dude.
That's
Nicolas Cage troll pages are some of the fucking
I had no idea that was a
funniest of
thing.
fucking memes too. I gotta
I
pull
had
them out.
no
man.
idea
my
that was
favorite
a
one
thing.
is replacing Jesus with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's a good one too.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
With
Yeah. Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won't even notice it. Actually, I saw one. I think it was an article. It was some lady
I'm
praying
gonna
to
do
like
it.
this
I'm
little
gonna do it
figure
at home. See how long it
that
takes.
she
me to
thought was like
that.
the
Fucking
wise
notice,
man
dude.
of Jesus, but it turned
I
out to be
can't post it
fucking
anymore.
Elrond from
So
Lord of the
no.
Nice.
She's praying to this little figure that she thought was like.
What? Wait, what? Back up.
This lady was praying to this like little figurine for years. She thought it was like
Oh, shit.
Jesus or something.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out it was Elrond from Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
One of the elves.
choose your deity wise.
Yeah, I guess. She didn't know that. Like, okay.
It's funny that all our prayers were answered.
Fucking Elrond, bro. You pagan.
I saw one with Qui-Gon Jinn as Jesus. That was-
Hell yeah,
this was just
Qui-Gon
Liam
Jinn,
Neeson
bro.
as
Oh,
Jesus.
shit.
So good. The hair.
I will find you.
I will find you. I will answer your prayers.
I know where you are. I will find you.
I know where you
that
are,
is
my son.
amazing.
My son. I know where you are.
Oh, god damn it. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Who do you guys hate as actors?
Let's see.
Or
Who's on?
shouldn't be an action star?
Who shouldn't be? I think Vin Diesel's a shitty fucking action star, dude. Honestly,
about
I
that.
think so. I think he's a bad actor.
I can't say
No, maybe he's a good action star,
So-
just a bad actor.
That's pretty much Vin
Well,
Diesel.
it depends on what role. Though. Like, I loved it.
Chronicles
of
of Riddick, I love.
Pitch Black. You
That's
didn't like
That's
that?
bad.
Hands
Good.
down.
Only because it's action.
But even it, like the way he was, even though it's the same character, like that movie just was to me was a step above for him. There's a few others.
Pitch
I
Black.
believe there's one called A Man Apart.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to bring that
really
up.
good,
Yeah.
good fucking action movie
Yeah.
he did. There's a couple others, but yeah, I mean, overall, he is just kind of meh.
yeah.
I saw a video of him recently talking about Street Sharks. You guys remember Street
Yeah.
Sharks?
Yep.
It's I saved it. It's on Reddit. He's young, right? Like he's got to be in his 20s. Dude, bro, he's got a leather vest on. He's got like the one hanging ear, like a cross on the ear, whatever. He's still got the bald head. And he's talking very enthusiastically about the Street Shark. He's like, this one is the leader, right? And his power is the jaw claw. Like he knows like what they all do. And,
Hell
he's
yeah.
doing a promotion or something for them. But he's like
Oh,
explaining
playing
how
like
they
a
all
I don't know if
And
you
just
did
like
this,
that,
dude.
Chris loves him.
Did you know that he's a very
I do like
quality-
the-
You know, I just changed my whole team.
Check it out, Vin Diesel.
I'm gonna have to reevaluate this Vin Diesel thing.
But you are right, like 50-50. He's just overblown too, like too much.
Yeah,
It's because of Fast and Furious made him popular.
yeah.
It really is that.
He's typecast now
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
He
Did you guys
Ashton
see-
Kutchered himself basically.
You guys see the Triple X movie that he was
Fuck
in?
yeah.
Those are horrible.
No, the new
first
one.
one.
Oh, I
The
don't
new
know.
one.
I didn't see the new
The
one.
new
Oh, the Return of Xander Cage.
Oh, dude.
Triple X is awesome.
He just pulls
for-
out the same old lines. It was just terrible, dude.
Dude, I
It was
like
just
Triple X is one of those like a fun summer movies.
Yeah,
You watch it because it's gonna be entertaining and high budget,
Right.
but like it's not.
It is.
If you like
there's great
lame
looking
movies.
chicks in there. There's guns and
If you want to be
Fights.
simply,
Okay,
Dude, the
Wait,
first
wait,
Triple
wait,
X when he wore that
bombs and
Look
fire
at,
suits.
look
Yeah,
at all
I
of
just,
the
like,
80s
couldn't
action
even-
movies.
I
with the
couldn't
same
even,
shit.
bro.
As what Vin
yeah,
Diesel
but they were
did.
from the '80s, not the.
Oh,
I know
it's
another-
different.
Wait, there's another good one, the Babylon AD.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fucking badass
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
I love that fucking
that
movie.
is a good movie.
Yep. So he is just kind
Kinda
of
hit and miss,
He's
yeah.
decent in that one though. Like even acting wise, he's decent. Watch it again.
Yeah.
I watched that one a couple weeks ago. I dug it.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's a one. Let's see who else. You know who I used to be a big fan of was Jim Carrey.
Oh, he's gone nuts.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just think he's.
He got liberal as fuck.
Yep.
I mean, besides all that, just
No, it changed his whole
it
fucking.
just. I don't know. He's kind of like the same in every movie, but that's what I like.
that's kind of his shtick, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but he wouldn't
Jax
try
is
to. You wouldn't try to do all the serious ones.
My buddy Jack says, pretty tired of Jared Leto getting work.
Why is that?
By the way,
I guess I'm in the minority. I thought he made an excellent Joker.
I
Like
like
I got all triggered.
I like the look of Jared Leto's Joker.
No, I didn't like the look. I liked his portrayal of the Joker.
I had to
acted
watch
more-
it again.
He acted more like the Joker than anybody.
There was not enough of him. I feel like
His personality in that movie was definitely more like the Joker than
But it's
any
different-
others.
yeah,
But
it's
his look was
different
completely
worlds,
wrong.
dude.
But
It's
he
different.
didn't have the choice of that.
It's
So here's-
different.
he didn't.
It's different
I'll say this.
universes. It's different
I'll say
worlds.
this is kind of what got me over to it. Because okay, so in the chat here, TJ Simmering Barbarian, if he's still here, he's the guy who made the Grim 86 logo for us. He's our artist.
Hey, does vaping spread coronavirus?
I don't think
Yep.
so.
Yeah, it does.
So do farts.
What he said was, in this universe, you got to think about it. The Joker was in prison, right? He was in what's it called?
Arkham.
Arkham, yeah, right. And what do you do in prisons a lot of the time? You end up getting prison ink, right?
Fudge pack.
So that's like how he got. That was like the justification behind
Right.
his like all his tatted up whatever. This is the first Joker we've ever seen like that.
It makes sense.
It's like, oh, well,
I mean, it all makes sense. It's always the alternate universe, or
So tell me,
You know,
okay,
something.
besides Jack Nicholson, which I think he did a good job as Joker, who do you think did better than Jared Leto?
I'm also
I
not
don't know,
saying.
dude.
I'm also not
Heath
saying.
Ledger was
hold
not
on,
the Joker.
Hold on. I'm also not saying that TJ said that he was a good Joker. I'm just saying that's how he explained to me.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Because my thing is, Heath Ledger did not look like the Joker, did not act like the Joker
No.
at all.
no,
No.
it was a different version.
No,
That's-
no. The Joker's always been a.
that's where
gangster.
you guys are all. That's I think where everything. You need to look at things.
Did the Joker ever
through a
look like he
different
was homeless?
Perspective. They're written different. It would just be like if
But that's not the character.
Marvel came.
He was a great character though.
If Marvel came out with a different storyline for the Joker and drew him a
It's
different way.
DC.
Yeah,
DC, yeah, DC, whatever. You know,
Not whatever.
Not whatever. You're right. You're right.
Marvel's way better.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it would be like if DC
Piss off
came out with
everyone right now.
5 different storylines and 5 different Jokers. I mean, there's Martha Wayne who's Joker, right? That's what I'm saying,
Bruh,
dude.
really,
Like,
you're gonna go there?
that's what I'm saying. It's,
No.
it's
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
alternate-
Doesn't mean I
Them
like it
changing
either.
the
Right?
It's an alternate universe, dude. They're not changing the character.
Yes, you are.
The character was already changed when they wrote the lines for the character.
So you're okay with the Black Canary
I'm
being
okay-
black and not
I'm
looking
okay-
like the Black Canary at
I'm
all?
okay with I'm okay with the Little Mermaid being black.
Yeah, because there's so much sun in the bottom of the ocean.
Hey, man, whatever, dude. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't come down to that for me. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it comes down to the actor. Or,
But that's
Or the way
race.
it's
Now you're
written.
talking race. I was just talking about character.
yeah, that's what I'm just talking about. So like,
So you're saying you're okay with them changing the character because they want to change the character. It shouldn't.
I'm
because that's who the
saying
character is.
it was already changed when they wrote the story.
But they have an established character and they're changing it.
Well, that's why they.
Can we all agree
That's
that
why they
there's
put
no
Jared
way
Leto. That's why they
Falcon
put him there,
can
right?
wield Captain America's shield?
Absolutely not.
There's no way he can.
No.
That's all I'm saying. I don't care if there's
Doesn't make
comics
any
that say he doesn't. It's just the stupidest, dumbest. I don't know. I think that's going to be horrible.
They shouldn't do that.
I hope they don't.
They should back away from that slowly.
I agree.
And never
Never.
bring up that idea again.
Never visit it again. Just Bucky walks up. Come here. Give me that. Just fucking takes it.
Get over it.
Yeah, that was
to
one of
me,
the comics I
Spirit
read
to the heart.
recently was with it was a couple years old, but it had the Punisher and he's fighting against a bunch of dudes and whatever, and then he's like, "Oh no, Captain America's here!" and he fucking Falcon shows up in the Captain America shit, throwing the shield, and I'm fucking trying not to laugh reading a comic, dude. I'm like, this is so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the worst idea ever. Doesn't mean it if it's in a comic or if it's in a movie. If it's just bad, it's bad, right? It doesn't matter.
Right.
But if they do something different and it works, cool. Like kind of backing up what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess my argument too, though, is like, look at this new Superman movies. That's not fucking Superman. That's Batman with Superman's powers, all broody and fucking emo.
I don't think he's that emo.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know.
They changed his parents' backstory where they didn't want him to become Superman. They made him a fucking whiny bitch. Which he's not supposed to be. He's the opposite of Batman. He's the big blue Boy Scout. I don't like when they take
DC.
an established character
Yeah.
and they
I
change
really
their
don't like DC
whole
anymore
freaking
either, dude.
personality.
Yeah.
I never liked
they
DC.
shit-
I did
you know
like
what
the
they
Batman
do?
shit,
Is
but
they shit on their own storyline.
not that
is
much
what they
anymore.
do.
I just
That's
don't
the
like
problem,
it.
dude.
I just
So
don't
I'm
like
just
it.
going to catch up on the
Yeah,
chat
yeah,
real
go for
quick.
it.
So Jack,
God,
Jack said that Ledger was the best Joker in his opinion,
no.
and then TJ did pipe and he said no, Leto was trash all the way around. He said, it's just a bad expanded universe. So I'm glad I did say that. Like he was just explaining to me,
Right,
like
right.
how he like did mental jujitsu to get around the tattoos. He gave me that ability.
The only cool tattoo was the mask thing. Like I thought that was. I did think that was cool.
smile.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, the rest of them were ridiculous. There's not a damn thing wrong with any of Harley Quinn's tattoos.
And then Jack had mentioned too as well.
I couldn't find one thing wrong with her.
Exactly.
I mean, I look and look.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how good of an actress she was, but I can't remember really.
So
So
Jack also
crazy?
said that's the Dark Horse Joker though, so it's just chaos.
So Johnny, you've seen the new one, Joker.
Yeah, oh God, let's not even go there.
Hold on, before you guys even go any farther
Oh,
than this,
my God.
I just want you to
Yes.
to appreciate for a moment. While we have TJ here in the chat, if you're still watching, what I consider him to be a authority
Batman.
on Batman, right?
Mhm.
So if you guys have any questions that you want a very strong opinion about, now would be the time to ask him if he's watching because he'll.
Floor is yours, boys.
Well, I'm curious.
If you have a question that can be
Yeah.
answered
Well,
summarily, right, without it
Hashtag
being a
team
fucking
punishment.
conversation.
Well, then, okay, TJ, who do you think has done Joker more comic book accurate than anybody? I thought Nicholson and
Batman the animated series did.
okay, I'm talking live action
No, none.
because DC absolutely nails their fucking animated movies. They're awesome with that.
So the question is what? Simply put,
Who do you think has done the best Joker?
best live action Joker.
You
live
said
action Joker.
to the comic though. You said.
Yeah, comic book accurate. Because I think it's
But I feel like
he's going to tell you it was Caesar
Romero. Yeah, I would too.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that he's.
I
gonna
would
say
too.
that.
I would say that right off the
but-
bat. The only Joker that makes any sense in any of these worlds is Caesar Romero.
He
with
says-
his
he says
mustache covered.
DC doesn't embrace its book like Marvel has.
No, they
Exactly.
try to give
They
too
shit
much
on their
freedom.
own fucking stories.
They give too much freedom to the directors. Like we were reading this David Ayers apologizing for his depiction of Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad.
He should be
But
stoned.
and he actually said he portrayed her as
That man
Comic
needs
book
a
actor.
fucking medal, dude. Not
Hang
a
on.
fucking
So-
criticism.
So as it stands right now, the question is, TJ, if you're still out there watching, let's see what you think is the most comically accurate representation of a live action Joker. Who did it? And just let us know what
Thus
your opinion
far.
is. Yeah, thus far, right?
because I think personality wise, Leto had it.
Okay.
The look was a little too over the top for me. He had the laugh.
They got the color
He, had
palette, right?
he was the gangster. He had the maniac shit going on.
He was wearing purple.
I like this. I like that they gave him a grill, like as like timely.
I hated
It
that.
was like way out of period. Like
Oh,
grills
yeah.
are not cool now,
No.
but they were. In
No,
like
they weren't.
2002.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that
Yeah,
old. It wasn't that old.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
That movie was metal.
I
Well, that's
know.
what he's
I know.
saying.
I'm
It
saying
was
like,
kind of like
they
the
gave him
throwback
a
to that
grill
time.
like way out of like when they were.
Oh,
filming
I get.
one,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I got what
But
you're
like
saying.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it kind of looked cool in my.
But it put the story in context. Like, you know, it showed kind of like a timeline of him and Harley Quinn at the beginning of their relationship or whatever, while he was, and then after how they wrecked the vehicle, how they got caught or whatever. But
Yeah.
it shows like the progression of their relationship.
I love the part where you think that she's like dead. Well, you know she's not dead underwater, and then she tries to bite at Batman.
Yeah.
That was badass.
Yeah.
And then he just clap.
Knocks her out.
Underwater knockout punches. Clap. That was amazing.
Well, see, I think
That
the
was
scene
one of my
that
favorite
shows
parts.
how well the Joker he did is when they're in the club and she's dancing with the boys talking to the gang member. And he's like, "Oh, you could have her," you know? And then the dude's like, "Oh no, that's your girl."
It's
He's
a
like,
trap.
"What? You don't fucking want
Yeah,
It's
it?"
a trap.
Like he just flips the script like,
I
"Oh,
really
you want
don't
it?
have a
Fuck
problem
you."
with Jared Leto's performance in that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
it was just
more-
the way it was written and the way he performed it. You know, It's
I
just-
think his personality was on.
I don't think they gave us enough
They didn't.
of him to.
Who else is shit actors? Because I feel like that's where this all started.
That
Chuck Norris might be one.
Chuck Norris is a really bad actor,
I fucking hate him, dude.
dude.
But
If
see,
he
I
comes
can
and
even-
kicks your
I can
ass,
even-
dude. I'm not helping you.
I didn't say anything about that. I said that he is a horrible actor. Fucking pussy.
Okay, so TJ says Jack is maybe the closest to Joker in tone and unpredictability.
Yeah,
Close to what they're writing in '90s at least. Caesar was definitely Joker post comic code. Ledger was good too.
I don't know the look of Ledger. You know, he just looked like a homeless guy.
I still go back to Caesar Romero.
Before I want to touch on that. All of his clothes were designer without labels. They were custom made.
But they were all raggedy and shit. The Joker
No,
never.
no, they
No,
weren't.
they, yes, they were.
No, look,
At the beginning,
his little.
after he
his
got
little-
paid.
No, hold on. His little overcoat or whatever. Like even on the preview of one of the unreleased trailers they were where he's riding on the glass. Why so serious? And he makes a question mark in the blood. He's wearing his long black pea coat. Underneath that black pea coat, full custom everything. He's got the purple and green. Like he's got the green vest with the purple shirt underneath. He's had it. Remember when he's in there and he's sitting there and he's doing that clap to the camera?
You know what it was? Is that there's the way that they filmed that movie. There's a filter on like how the movie looks.
Just,
Mhm.
he looked
So
like
everything's
blue.
darker. Yeah, very blue.
I guess it
dark.
maybe it was like the hair.
So the colors didn't pop. Like Suicide Squad, you notice
it's
the
like,
colors
like he's
more
homeless.
because they
Like,
try to make it
yeah.
vibrant. Yeah.
The Joker didn't have the long hair. He had the slick back gangster hair. You know.
I felt like if they just made him like some crazy like retired like or went rogue spook like a CIA, like that's kind of more like
Some
the way.
paramilitary or
Yeah,
something.
that's kind of like what he. To me, that's kind of more what he felt like in that movie. He didn't
Because-
feel like an organized crime guy.
Because Joker is like
He felt like he was a crazy CIA guy that went
Yeah.
rogue.
like making IEDs.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
like
That's
that kind of stuff.
totally how he came off to me in that movie.
They could have made that angle work more.
Right.
I think
They could
for
have.
the Joker.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
so
he has some
Yeah,
military
they're talking
training or
about
something.
nonsense.
Oh
Yeah, if you
Jack
watch
says
it again,
yeah.
think,
Here we
so
go.
watch that movie again, Dark Knight, right?
Mhm.
Dark Knight again, and think that he's like a CIA agent that's like a hitman type guy, like a 007 type guy that went crazy, and then watch it. and I bet you'll agree he fits that role to me.
Definitely.
Oh
So we
God.
got we got some Val, some for Jack. Jack says Megan Fox, bad actor.
Oh, hey, you were right.
Yes.
Megan Fox get the pass because she's fucking hot.
Yeah, we ignored the women for a while there. We were just going after the guy.
Kristen Stewart, fuck that weird
From
bitch.
Valerie. This is Kristen Stewart.
Who's Kristen Stewart?
Twilight.
chick.
Oh,
yeah.
Bitch has like one.
I've never seen one scene of any fucking
Oh, I'm gonna be mean,
Any
but I'm gonna do it
Twilight,
off
dude.
camera.
any Twilight.
Yeah, TJ,
Okay.
I agree.
So TJ says no one has nailed it yet, mostly because the scripts just deviated from the books too much.
FAS.
Tim Burton had Batman watching people get mugged, and Nolan kept trying to make him retire.
I agree.
Uh,
Like, I'm hoping the new Batman movie, because supposedly it's going to focus more on him. It's like after his first year in, but it's going to focus more on like the detective aspect of him.
Okay.
Because one of his nicknames is the world's greatest detective. The only movie that came even close to showing any of that was Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Or, he's investigating the Joker venom and all that. And he comes up with that shit.
Even in the Batman versus Superman, they still didn't capture the detective part
No,
because
They don't. They don't emphasize.
as far as I can remember, from what I've been told, I haven't ever read the comics myself, but Batman was the one that realized that because Superman and Batman were fighting, that something was happening somewhere that they needed to be worried about. He got to the point where he's like, wait a second, what the fuck are we doing? What are we being distracted from right now? And that's when they realized that it was the whole Lex Luthor was creating Nemesis.
Oh,
and
don't
that-
even
that
get me
whole
started
thing.
on the Lex Luthor.
So-
Oh, my God.
So there's something to be said about
God, I hate
yeah,
DC.
Batman is a detective, right?
Yeah, I just want to throw up now.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
That
brought
was
up
a
Lex
lot of
Luthor in that movie,
explaining,
and
dude.
we want to throw up now.
That's the thing with DC. Like, you have to full explain like their whole like comic.
Well,
line.
what's
Look
weird
at
is
how
Their
in-depth-
universe, though, to
and-
my knowledge, is simpler and more to the point. Marvel's is so much shit, so
Yeah.
many titles and stuff, so it's a lot harder to follow, and you have to really embrace it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't know even nothing compared to like all the
But
different.
there's one
titles out there.
storyline in particular that you follow, right?
Well, I mean, I'm all about X-Men, so I mean, yeah, anything doing with mutants, I'm pretty much into.
Right.
Punisher, some Spider-Man, like some of that. Like, I know some of it,
Right.
but I mean, like, and like definitely like some of the Ghost Rider and some of the early stuff,
Well, so okay, I'll say
Blade
this
and
about
shit
Marvel:
like
like
that.
most of their characters are not.
or the Night Stalkers.
They don't have to have their villain, one villain, to be relevant. DC, like that reason I didn't want to watch the Joker movie is because you can't have the Joker without Batman.
Well, that
You
movie's
cannot have
trash,
that.
dude.
I know, but you should still.
You can't, though,
You should
because
still watch it. I mean,
Batman,
just so you
Joker
know,
exists because of
of your own
Batman.
experience.
The
Or don't
Joker
watch
exists
it.
because of
Whatever.
Batman.
I'm just saying.
And the Joker exists to be Batman's foil. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You cannot like you. Would you have a Lex Luthor movie without Superman? No.
DC might.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna
I
go-
can
You see what I'm saying?
I'm just
though?
going to catch up in the chat.
Yeah,
real
do
quick. So TJ says, so Val said, what do you think of the Twilight guy playing Batman, Robert Pattinson?
I don't
TJ
know.
says, he was good in a few movies I saw. Given a good script, he could be really good. So he's still, and this is, I got a lot of my advice about whether or not Ben Affleck was going to be a good Batman from him. And the consensus was, let's just see how he does, because the director's relationship with him, we're like, okay, like this, and plus the actors wanting to always have been or have played that role. Like Ben Affleck wanted to be Batman. He only took the role of Daredevil because he never thought he'd get to play the Bat. And they finally give him the role of the Bat, and it's the older Bat. And in my opinion, I think he did well as an old Batman. But I've never read the comics.
Well, he's like Ryan Reynolds, right? Like
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds didn't think he'd ever get Deadpool,
Yeah.
Right.
so he played Green Lantern. It was
Yeah,
horrible.
exactly.
Same with Affleck with the fucking Daredevil. Like I said, it was
Yeah.
horrible.
So he says, he's on the side of like, let's just kind of see what they can do.
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
agree.
You know, it might not
Yeah.
be shitty.
I think it looks like crap, my opinion. But then again, I think
I
they
don't know.
always
I don't
have
think I've seen the trailer yet.
that. I don't know if there's a trailer, but all the
Well,
footage.
I don't even that.
Yeah,
I've just been so disconnected from like
one
So-
other thing.
social
Yeah.
media.
So TJ's basically saying Batman made the Joker. He's a living embodiment of Batman's failure.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you can have an Joker origin story without Batman. That is ridiculous.
You can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
He is
classic
so
good,
tied to
good and
Batman.
evil battle for eternity.
When I watched, we talked about it, I think before, but when I watched Joker, I watched it with one of my buddies, and I was just like, this is horrible. Like, I tried to actually think of it as not Joker, because I heard some people that I actually respect on YouTubers They were like, "Oh yeah, if you treat it like it's a
Spiritual.
separate movie, yeah, exactly. You treat it like that." And so I try to do that, and I fucking hated the whole movie.
Dude, it's
There's
a mentally
nothing
ill
about it that I
man
like.
with fucking face.
Just
paint.
me personally, I
Back to
didn't
Megan
like.
Fox for a second. She was just on a movie I watched.
What was she on?
Oh, what was it?
Transformers.
No, it wasn't
Jennifer's
Transformers.
body.
It was somebody.
That's the only movies I know she's in.
No, there was another movie that she was just in, and it wasn't either of those two. But
It's a newer movie.
I was watching her because I know she has hammer thumbs.
I mean that radio.
You know what hammer thumbs
No.
are?
She has toe thumbs.
Yeah, basically her thumbs are like really fat and like wide, and so like it's like a
I've never got to look at her thumbs.
yeah, it's like a
I've
thing. It's
never
like a
looked at her
thing,
thumbs,
dude.
bro.
I don't know. You hear these things on social media or whatever. So I was looking for her thumbs to see if I could see. So I just Googled it, and sure enough, she has those.
I don't care about her thumbs.
She did an iPhone commercial or a phone commercial for after Transformers when she was all hot and she's like in the bath, right? And she's on her phone and then there's a close up and they used a hand double.
Yeah,
Like they straight up use a hand double for her.
she's got ugly thumbs. Man.
She used her strong hands.
I'm not criticizing her body and whatever. You know? I mean, she's still hot, but at the same time,
Damn. She got some long thumbs.
but at the same time, dude,
Thank you
fuck
for
those
that.
thumbs, dude.
I
Fuck
mean,
those thumbs, dude.
What did you search?
if you like the thumb on the butthole, you know she's a girl.
Megan Fox thumbs on Google. Do it.
Dude, so
Right, Chris? I'm just saying.
she's a terrible actress, dude.
I don't give a fuck. She's hot.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no,
She's eye candy,
she's
bro.
hot.
That's all
dude. I
she's
mean,
there for.
She's high candy.
Name one line that she said in a movie.
Oh, my tit. Right there. I said it.
Oh my god, dude! Oh my
Oh,
god!
you dropped your thong.
Hold on, hold on.
That was the other hand too. You idiot.
It was
Wow.
just it was just
Wow.
Wow.
Wipe it down. Wipe it down. Get it on
let it
book.
dry.
You should do
Let it
the
dry.
God damn it, Chris.
Where she's
So
on
that
the
Dumb and
side.
Dumber, right? That was
Yeah,
Dumb
the
and
Panaka.
Yeah.
On the side.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Just missed
geez.
her hand completely.
Yeah, every time he's all like he got it, but he got none of it.
That was a good Jim Carrey movie.
That was a Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Actually,
And then
okay.
fucking George Clooney stole his haircut after that.
So he said
Yeah.
Ben had the best suit and the best action.
Yes.
Remember when I showed you the warehouse scene where he
Totally.
was fucking hammer?
Mhm.
Okay, and then it's another bad Elseworld IMO. I don't know what that means.
In my opinion.
Well, I don't know what Elseworld is.
So that's like not main universe. It's like, well, if it happened in a different.
Different
oh, okay.
universe.
Elseworld is like
Yeah, I think
Marvel
alternate
has the
universe.
what if.
Alternate
scene.
I think
universe.
Jamie was right and said he played the best Bruce Wayne, which is what matters.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes. Bruce Wayne's hard
I
to
think
pull off.
I think he played a good Bruce Wayne.
Michael
because he
Keaton.
was- yeah, Michael
Yes.
Keaton was a good Bruce
Yes.
Wayne in my opinion.
terrible. Bad.
I wish he was more
It's not hard to get
Playboy.
that do Batman though.
Hashtag hair club for men.
Oh yeah,
like
dude.
what's
Have
it
you
called?
seen Clooney and Batman?
hold on.
Well,
He's a bad Batman
Christian
and
Bale.
a bad fucking.
Christian
Bruce
Bale
Wayne.
actually
Okay, I'll
as
give you
Bruce
that.
Wayne wasn't terrible. Like when you walk in with like escorts and just buy the hotel because they're playing in
Right.
the fountain and shit. I was
Right.
like, that's a in my
That's a
opinion,
Bruce
that's a
Wayne
Bruce
shit.
Wayne
Yeah,
thing
that's
to
a
do.
Bruce Wayne movie.
But I
He
don't
was-
know much
okay,
about
we know
Bruce
what, he was
Wayne.
a bad Batman. Damn it! Yeah, see, I just like.
I mean,
myself.
like in the comics, I don't feel like he was that way at all. But I mean, I only am limited on my comics. Like I don't remember him ever walking with a bunch of bitches jumping in a fountain, and like I think it was a cool take on it. I just don't remember it being like that ever.
Well, I don't think he was. I just maybe
Right.
I just liked that.
Yeah,
take
yeah,
on it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, it's a
it was
good
like,
take on it.
It's
Just
a little
like
more
yeah.
eccentric, which is like maybe I can relate to that because that's kind of how I think I would.
Yeah.
I was Playboy is like you just
The truth
yeah,
comes
fucking, yeah, I'll
out.
just buy the hotel. I don't give a shit. It's mine now. Go fuck yourself.
I know. Push these tables together.
Yeah, yeah.
When he was the worst, I think Bale was the worst when it came to like the whole detective.
Are we still
aspect.
talking about DC? Jesus Christ.
I know, dude.
Well, okay, you want to
This
talk
is
about
how
Marvel?
shitty DC is.
Oh,
No, I don't want to talk about
no,
Marvel.
I
I
think
love
we
Marvel.
exhausted all this,
I think Marvel's awesome.
except for fucking Miss Captain Planet.
Captain,
That must
Captain,
be,
Planet.
Captain Marvel.
Captain
Is that a
Marvel.
new one?
Captain
Oh.
Marvel. All right. So, anyways, what else is going on? Let's get back to
Isn't
the.
there a Captain Marvel in DC?
Yeah, but they actually had to
That was
change his
different,
name
yeah.
to Shazam.
Yeah.
Lawsuit.
I know.
Oh, is that how
Yeah,
Shazam
yeah.
came about?
Yeah, because they called him Captain Marvel, but then Marvel. went
Shazam
after
is
him.
a wizard.
Yeah.
So he calls the wizard's name and gets
Yeah.
See, his powers are magical. They're not.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
They're not. They're
That's
not,
why he could actually beat Batman. I mean, not Batman, but Superman.
Yeah.
Superman's
His powers are
main
magical.
weakness-
They're not a
It's not
genetic.
biological, it's like-
It's not genetic.
So that's why, because Superman's main weakness is magic and kryptonite.
Yep.
So that's why Shazam can beat him up.
But there's a lot of magic in Marvel too. Tons of magic.
Sure.
Yes, TJ Bale was a clueless Batman. I will agree with that shit.
One
and
of the baddest,
Johnny will agree with
one of
this.
the baddest comics, I think, is Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
I think he's really good.
Oh yeah.
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 Good.
I didn't know anything about Doctor Strange before he was introduced
You
in
know
the
what's
Marvel
weird,
movies.
dude, is like they're
And the
making these movies, and a lot of people say that.
The Doctor Strange standalone movie was fucking
Yeah, it
badass.
was. Dude. It really was.
I like Doctor Strange now.
Yeah,
because
the
of that.
action,
Yeah.
the way that they made the
It was-
building shift.
It was very
Yeah.
linear. Like it was
Yeah.
very like if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but it was very like Doctor is like good at his job, gets injured, needs to find magical power to get better again, discovers he's a crazy wizard, and then bam, Avenger. Like that was like
right.
boom, boom, boom. That was the whole story. But it was like, dude, it was all tricky.
Well, 'cause that's,
the
they
visuals are
they
good. It
stay
was high
true
budget.
to the book because in the comics, Doctor Strange became an egotistical doctor that would only take shit if it paid. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he can't pay.
The guy who played him, I think, played a really
Yeah.
good Strange.
And so, in order when his hands got cracked,
Cumberbatch or whatever.
Yeah.
when he
I
his
think
hands,
He did as good a Doctor Strange as Ryan Reynolds did Deadpool.
Do you guys any of you watch Venture Brothers?
No.
Venture
Oh
Brothers?
yeah,
that
Yeah.
Do you remember the necromancer dude? He's like, "Woo!" Like he would do all his weird, like it's a crazy necromancy thing. Like it would be funny.
No, I haven't seen Brothers Grimm in a while.
Kind of like Brother Grimm.
All right. So what else is going on, guys, with this whole coronas?
So we have people protesting in Morgan Hill.
Oh, there we go. That was another thing.
And,
We're
protesting.
They're
Coronas.
staying home and order.
protesting the virus.
really? In,
We
of
should-
all places, Morgan Hill.
We should
Yeah.
protest the virus, bro.
I'm protesting the virus.
Well,
So
no,
I guess they're
See, what I did is I just labeled this a virus-free zone.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're
Oh,
We're good.
Oh,
Fuck
so-
that.
okay,
So-
yeah, we're good.
Well,
we
shit,
can't.
dude. I
Code
didn't even
four.
need to bring my mask.
I told you,
Code
bro.
Four, bro.
I said I had it covered.
Shit.
Virus-free area.
Yeah.
That means a virus cannot
It's
live
not
here.
even allowed
Just
to
like-
be
It's
in
not
here.
allowed to be here.
Yeah,
You
if
won't
it
come
comes
If it
in
comes
this
in here,
area,
it's breaking the law. and
it's
I'm
breaking
calling
the law.
police.
Yeah, there's a signpost that says virus-free zone.
cops will be here to arrest the virus.
Yep.
They'll have to escort it.
Awesome.
I don't think they're holding the virus in
Yes.
jail, are they? They're just letting it.
Thank you, Eric.
Kind of catch and release at this point.
Catch and release.
Dr.
Yes,
Orpheus.
Chris.
Dr. Orpheus was the necromancer I was talking
Oh.
about. Thank you, Eric.
Fuck, that's hilarious. So what about the protest, though?
Well, I guess
So-
they have people coming out of town from out of Morgan Hill because they think Morgan Hill's
Just so you
more
can read it.
open to it,
The animated Batman.
which I haven't found that to be the case. I'm on
Open
a
to
bunch
what?
of to the
Open-
protests. I'm on a bunch of the neighborhood watch pages in Morgan Hill.
Oh,
Those people are such fucking sheep.
Are they as good? Is it
I
as
thought-
much
I thought they
entertainment
were-
as the-
I thought they
Oh,
were
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
banning guns and stuff in Morgan Hill, weren't they?
Well, no,
No,
they're
Santa
banning
Clara
they
County.
close gun stores.
Sales.
Oh, no gun sales in Morgan Hill.
They're
Well,
not-
no,
not
no, it's
essential.
no gun stores.
No gun stores.
I think they'll
They're not
still
essential.
do some. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure they'll still do some parking lot. Come to your house or come to their
Oh.
house type
I
of
don't
transaction
think so.
because the building is closed. They are not prohibited to.
Oh no,
close
that's not
sales.
what I was even talking about. Even before the virus, weren't they trying to ban
No,
guns
no,
for
no,
like
no, 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 no.
for high school kids after the school shootings and stuff like that?
Not that I'm
Morgan
aware
Hill?
of.
That's
Yeah.
what I haven't heard. Of
Yeah.
that.
What do you mean ban?
They were trying to
ban the
ban
gun store.
ban assault rifles or something.
But
like
you
that.
Well,
you only have to
it's
be.
Oh, they already are in
Yeah.
California.
No, they were
you
doing
have to be
something.
21, right?
They were doing
Yeah.
something with
Yeah.
guns, like they were protesting.
They've already raised the
guns
age to
and stuff
21.
like that. Yeah. No, I thought they were more liberal town.
I'd have to figure
No.
out specifically what you're talking about.
California.
No, because they surprisingly because they have the gun store. Like there's a lot of people who are like, no, like that's the only place we can get our guns around here. That place is a steeple. We need to keep it.
Yeah.
There was something with airsoft guns when we worked at Route 4 that Martin Hill was trying to, or maybe it was just when I worked.
No, I'm pretty sure that they try to, or maybe they were just a whole part of that, like David Hogg kind of.
I don't know. Anyway,
Maybe.
Yeah. I think
Maybe,
they were-
and it's
they
usually
were-
the local gun shops that'll fight back against that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
in Morgan Hill, it would
No, I
have
think
been
the
their local
mayor
gun
was
shop.
like, we're gonna ban weapons or something.
well, let's get back to the protesters.
Yeah.
We got kind of
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe that they're having a Hey, dude, you're gonna kill me with that fucking smoke, dude.
I'm standing back here, goddamn.
Dude, you don't think that shit travels? So they, what was I saying?
Happy 420.
Yeah, I definitely need 420. I forgot what I was saying. Anyway.
No, so the protesters are protesting the stay-at-home order.
Look at that! I'm
stay-at-home
coughing
order.
into my elbow. It's
Yeah.
because I'm smoking, but I'm coughing
But
into my elbow.
who's protesting? Like, I thought, are they like Trump supporters and stuff like that? Or?
Well, that's what they're being called, but I don't know if they're necessarily Trump supporters. But people are just going off on them, saying they're the pieces of shit, all this, and I'm like, if you don't want to catch anything from them, then don't go near them.
Yeah, this is
Rayleigh's
this
water,
is,
bro.
It's like they're within their rights to peacefully protest. So fuck off.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is where it's a weird thin line, right? Because it's like, at what point are you exercising your freedom, or are you doing a detriment to society? And that's,
Oh, don't even go there.
in my opinion, that's where we have to kind of, as individuals, walk that line. Because it's like, I should be allowed to peacefully assemble, but if I know anything about flattening a virus curve or anything like that, then maybe I don't attend that. I don't
That's
know.
my point. Just
I don't
don't
know.
go near them.
It's a gray area.
Well-
I'm saying there's no clear-cut answer, in my opinion.
I would say that it's either you love freedom or you don't. And if you want to go out and do that, you should be able to do that.
Yep.
You should be able to.
I mean, by the Constitution, we'll go by statism, right? Like, there's the First Amendment. Like, it's the first fucking amendment.
Freedom of
Number
speech.
one, it's like you should be able to say what you want to do and exercise your right under a piece of paper to say that, like, hey, this is my right to express myself and say I don't agree with what's going on. So there's that just by statism aspect. From non-statism, where I'm from, is don't fucking tell me what the fuck to do. I'll make my own fucking decisions. If I want to quarantine myself, that's my fucking right or my choice. It has nothing to do with anyone else. And when you're saying, oh, I don't want people to gather, what you're saying is I want law enforcement to come and shoot you in the head if you do not comply. That's what you're saying. And that's not freedom. That's not what this country was founded on. And that's not what I believe in, just freedom-wise. Like,
And
people
that's
should
not-
not be able to boss
That's
anyone.
not even over dramatizing.
No,
things. No,
it's
it's,
fact.
not. The fact is, now that this stay-at-home order is in place, if we decide to go out and assemble or something, never mind the virus. Never mind if we decide that we're going to spread the virus to each other. The problem is now you've given the cops, you've given law enforcement the right to
Kill someone.
either make us comply or kill us.
Well,
Because
let's make no
because
mistake
no
about
law-
it. When you have a law,
no
right?
law no law is subject to what was I gonna say?
There is no such thing as a law without the enforcement end of it. So when
Right.
you make a law or you think it's right or wrong because you got the feels or you're scared, what you're saying is if someone's doing something you disagree with, then therefore they should be shot if
Right.
they resist
Right.
or imprisoned, whatever.
Right.
Well, the other one I'm going to find interesting is it was actually a meme. It was about the my body, my choice people. That when they, they'll be okay with forcing a vaccine on people. But it's my body, my choice, right? So I shouldn't be forced to have a vaccine just because you think
Would you
it's
take the vaccine?
fuck no.
Would you?
No.
Would you?
Haven't taken the flu virus.
So none of us would take
Exactly.
a vaccine if they had it.
Oh.
So but
I
even
wouldn't
when-
because I think I'm already immune to it.
Well,
Exactly.
sure.
Like, so
Yeah.
I would subject myself.
Honestly, I think I've already had it. I think in November through December, I was really sick, and it was a illness that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and I know that it was already here by then because people are testing positive for the antibody. So that means that they had it at one point,
Yeah.
the virus in their
Yeah.
bloodstream.
Well, I've had 20 Coronas and I'm still good.
Right?
Not that corona.
I mean, I had a hangover for a
Not
day.
that kind of sick. Not that kind of sick.
Yeah. So but the bottom line is like people that are getting mad about them going out and protesting and all that.
Right.
Like, hey, that's their fucking. I thought this country was a free country. I thought you're
Right.
supposed to be able to protest and do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Right.
So, like, come on, dude. Like, that's ridiculous that people are getting mad about it.
There's no law so arbitrary a cop wouldn't kill you over.
Exactly.
That's what
They
I was
kill
trying to
people
say.
over the selling cigarettes illegally.
Yeah, they choked that poor man.
Yeah,
out.
Exactly. There's plenty of record proving what I'm
Wait,
saying.
I want to hear about this.
The whole I can't breathe. The
They
whole
choked
joke.
him out.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah,
choked him
It
out.
was over selling cigarettes.
Yeah.
He was selling individual cigarettes
Yeah.
on the corner.
Lucy's.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And he got choked out and killed.
Yeah. So there's no law that cops wouldn't kill you over. So then think about that next time you decide to go vote.
Now, by all means, you can disagree with them protesting. You can be like, yeah, they're stupid. They can be spreading it and all that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's what you think. I mean,
But even then, how are they spreading it?
I don't know if they're spreading it. Who cares?
That's my point.
but that's his right to think that
they're stupid because they're whatever political view that is behind it, it's driving it.
Right.
I don't know. There's always either red or blue attached to it.
That's what I was talking about before this.
This is very important to even realize like how polarizing this can be even within our own group, right? Because you'll have half of us will say that you should be out there protesting. The other half of us say no, you shouldn't be out there protesting. But then even down the middle, some of us are saying it's their right to protest, but it's not something that I would do.
I would take it one step further than protesting at this point personally, but that's just my opinion. So it should be a lot more than that right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's ridiculous, but everyone should have the right to make a decision whether they want to quarantine their family, themselves, their friends, whatever. Like, or they don't want to participate. That's on them. It's their decision. It shouldn't be anyone else's. No government should be telling you what to fucking do.
We've seen the results of government controlling people over generations and millennia. I mean, we've seen what they've done and what they do. And you want to put your
government has a way worse track record.
Yeah, and then you want to put your life in the hands of people who push numbers. They don't see you as an individual, and that's a problem. That's another problem. Is that everything that this country is based on? I mean, even besides that, I mean, just going down to the natural law is I'm an individual. My rights need to be protected first. Now, when you form a group and you overpower the voting booths and make a law for your group that prohibits me from doing things, then that's where I have a problem. Because this country was founded on the principle of individuals, not groups. As a matter of fact, we ran away from governments. I mean, people ran away from governments to get here so they could practice whatever way of life that they wanted freely without anybody interfering.
So some of the signs that they're holding, I'll read several. One of them says, "Liberty once lost is lost forever."
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
My constitutional rights are essential. The other one, we are not cattle.
Yeah. So I agree with all those protest signs.
Fucking hey, we should go to Morgan Hill, boys.
Paul said he changes his mind. The problem is kind of in a weird way. Chris was right though. They are generally going to be the Trumper type people. I would say probably, arguably, it's probably 90% Trump type people. Yeah. But we obviously have the same view on that. But we would be on a different.
I would definitely go out there with never Trump signs and.
Yeah, well, I was saying on the way over here, I said. Our sign should be fuck Trump, fuck Gavin Newsom, or we could just try freedom.
Yeah. Dude,
or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I guess the organization, some of them are part of, it's called the Sons of Liberty.
Yeah.
And they're calling it a freedom rally. Is what it is.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, but those guys are always going to get branded as fringe groups.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing I'm afraid of.
I'm way more on the fringe than they are.
At what point though, bro, even if we went out there and we set up something as Grim 86 Freedom First and be like, we're promoting a show.
Well, I was saying that we should make a shirt that says Grim 86, I'm not with them.
That would be fucking hilarious.
I said this on the way over here. Mm-hmm. Grim 86 Freedom First podcast, I'm not with them, and have arrows on both directions. Like that? I said that on the way over here. And we just make a bunch of signs because that'll all say something different, but it's against the establishments.
Right. That's funny because it also promotes individualism because like we're even standing next to one another and it's like, I'm not with him. Right. Like, he doesn't represent me. Yeah. Like, he's my friend. We're here together, but he doesn't represent me.
Not every single point
we should all be unified in one thing, and that is our individual rights, protecting each other's rights. That's what the
liberty and freedom.
That's the one thing that should always bind us together: liberty and freedom.
Yeah, I was even telling Johnny, I find it kind of interesting. You have all these people that hate the cops. They don't like the government, but they're okay with this now. They're okay with the government telling them what they can do now.
Well, you're talking about like liberals more.
Yeah. It's like you're all like, fuck the police, but I'm like, oh, good job for finding these people for being out and about. Like, what the fuck? Like, all of a sudden now you're all about the cops? You're all about the government?
Fuck them all.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
It's like you fucking just flip the script.
We
You're
would be
fucking
more
hypocrite.
we would be more efficient and more we would be able to control things better if we did it without government.
We should make a shirt with like a knockoff Cartman that says on the back of our Grim 86, says, "Screw you guys, I'm not going home."
Wow.
But it's got
Dude,
to
that would be the best
I
song.
said a
Yeah.
knockoff Cartman.
But all those guys,
Yeah.
all those dudes that want to join up with us, man. I'm not a joiner guy, dude. I don't want.
Freedom, bro.
You're either in or you're out, dude. Sorry. That's the way it is, dude.
So now that we've kind of discussed and talked, do we all think here that they have the right to protest and should protest if they
Hell
want?
yeah.
Absolutely.
We all are on the same page.
Yeah.
And whether or not any of us agree that we would go to it or not and like be a
Right.
part of their thing, that's
Right.
different. Like we just all kind of came to the conclusion we would do
Founding
it, but we
principles,
would
man.
want to make sure everyone knew we had nothing to do with them.
We're not with them.
We're just showing support in the sense that, yeah, you shouldn't tell us what to do. You shouldn't lock us up in our
I just
own
want to take a
fucking house.
selfie with them and put it on the community watch page.
You can do that, bro.
Yeah.
Just to see how many fucking people I can piss
All
off.
right.
Like, fuck y'all.
Do we know where they're doing this at?
Yeah, it's on Tenant and Monterey.
Shit. Okay.
I believe by
That's
AutoZone.
There's a bunch throughout the country.
Yeah.
crazy, man.
So I will put this out there. The ones I do not agree with are the fuckers that are protesting. They're blocking streets and hospitals.
That's
Fuck those
fucked
people.
up.
Yeah, we've talked about that before too on the
Yeah.
podcast. But yeah,
Fuck
let's just
them.
cover that real quick. So like I'm all about people being able to like exercise their freedom and talk and all that stuff to people and protest things. But yeah, you shouldn't be blocking roads and you shouldn't be blocking hospitals or any business for that matter. I don't think you should.
Yeah.
Because I mean that could be an emergency if someone's trying to leave that business for like someone's dying or something,
Yeah.
or some ambulance or whatever, or you have to go visit your sick mother because she's dying or something, and you're blocking someone from something. That's not cool. That's blocking the individual's right for movement, freedom,
Well,
freedom of
and
movement.
property rights and shit like that.
So yeah, you're violating other people's property.
Shout out to Aaron real quick. He just popped up in chat.
What up?
Thanks, Aaron.
Ooh.
Eric or Aaron? Who's
Aaron.
Eric? Kid.
Is that our Aaron?
There is an Eric. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
right there at the bottom.
Hi, Aaron.
What up, bruh?
Yeah. So like,
We're all on the same page with that,
agree
right?
with you,
Yeah, we're on the same page.
I'm not going to reiterate. I've
Right.
done enough of
Yeah.
that already.
I mean, it's a basic principle or a basic right is that we're given the right to assemble. We're not given the right to assemble. Let's clear that up right away. The government does not give us our.
It's protected.
It's
is what it
protected.
is.
Supposed
We have
to
it
be
inherently.
protected by the government. So every time you go to court, the judge is supposed to be on your side. Okay, the judge. This is the way that
Right.
this is the way it was supposed to be. The judge is supposed to be on your side, protecting you from the government. Now, somewhere along the line, the
Yeah.
judge became the
Advocate-
executioner
advocate for the
as well
government.
as the judge. So I mean, we have a flawed system. No matter what part of the government
Judge is
you
supposed to
look
be
at,
impartial is what
yeah,
it
they're
is,
supposed
yeah.
to be
That's
impartial.
I think that's the biggest. We have a flawed system.
We
And I
have
think
a
that's
very
what a lot of
flawed
people
system.
don't understand that we're trying to do at this show. And it's like I understand that like from a productivity standpoint, we don't necessarily offer a whole lot of solutions, and I get that. We have offered some, and we could fire off a couple at any given moment about any specific thing. Now, what we are trying to do though is raise awareness
Principles.
as to the absurdity of the state of the nation and the state of the economy, the state of the government, the state of all the systems that control us. That's what we're trying to do, is raise awareness, I'd say, first and foremost.
For me, it's
Speak out
spreading
against it,
principles.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's
For me, it's pulling the
Principles.
covers and exposing the system.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's what I'm saying is a lot of people are going to look at the show and be like, oh, these guys are just complaining. They're just whining. So I've gotten some of that
Well,
too.
I
Well,
mean,
why don't you do
so
something about it? I
so is
can't-
all the Trumpers. So is
Yeah.
all the. Yeah,
I know.
it's the same.
It's all anyone. It's all anything.
But
that
it's all
anyone's
about
doing, right?
about the individual freedom. It's all about self ownership and that you are your own property. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
voluntarism, non-aggression principle, individualism. That's
Like,
what it comes down to. So
I know we
I
joke
come
a
at it
lot.
from principle.
Like I know we joke a lot, but when it comes down to it, the show is very much about principles. It's not about fart jokes and all the fun
It is
stuff.
a
we
little
do.
fart jokes,
Batman and
yeah.
stuff like that. That's stuff we like, but
Sure.
But what our show boils down to is we want you to be able to do what you like when you like to do it without any control.
Any repercussions, right?
Yeah, you are the the leader of your life. You're
the reason why I brought
master
this up
of your
is
own
'cause
self.
master of your own
recently there was somebody put out a post on Facebook or something like that, and it was kind of one of those things that was like, well, how come this community is not all up in arms about this now? Where are you guys at? And I was like, this isn't news. Like, this is nothing. It was basically an article explaining that like the president was gonna do some shit because he was president about wanting more power or whatever, that whole thing. And it's like,
Yeah, they just gave them more power again.
well, anyway, what I was getting at was that it wasn't news. It was something that's been happening all the time, and it's going to happen with every president that gets put there after
Executive
the current
order.
president, right? And I said, so like, what's new about this? Like, this is not even really news. I'm just trying to say, like, where are all the people? Where's the outcry? From like this particular community, and it was more or less aimed at like the libertarian community. And I was like, I do a show every week.
Have you ever gone on any of the libertarian pages? They're still consistent.
I'm just saying, like, I do.
Not you. I'm talking about for the
Well,
person that would have said that. I would have been like, visit any libertarian page,
Right.
including our own, and we've been consistent the whole time.
So like, the post wasn't about
Right.
us or me at all, but
Right.
I got like personally triggered about it.
Well,
I was like, I do a show every week. Like, what about you? Kind of a thing. And,
Yeah.
and he's like, he came back and was like, it wasn't really aimed towards you.
Right,
Like,
right.
You do a pretty good job of like blanketing everybody
Right,
with
right,
your
right.
fucking philosophies, whatever. So I was like, all right,
Right.
well, maybe I got a little too
Triggered.
offended too quick,
Yeah.
but it was like, like how don't come and sit here and act like I'm not fucking
Well,
outraged by all this shit.
it gets frustrating, Jamie. I think you might agree with this. It's like you feel like you're that lone voice in the wilderness calling out, like, listen, you fucks, you're all sheep, you're all slaves. How do you not see this? And you get frustrated. So sometimes you see those and you'll get a little triggered, right? I'm just guessing.
It
Like,
is.
I have.
It's gotten to the point where it's like, I understand that everyone thinks that they are changing the world for themselves by voting and by being in politics and by doing all these things. And it's like, what I see when I look at all of that is I'm just like, how can you even take one step forward with this system? Any step forward you take with this current system is doing you a detriment. Like it's working backwards. So any little bit of support, any little bit of participation you have in this judiciary political system is giving it more steam to keep on working forever. And it's like, that's what I don't want to work. So everyone, why don't you vote? Why don't you this? Why don't you that? Well, because I don't want that to keep working. I don't want it to work at all. I want it to fail and stop so we can start something different.
Right. I've said this before, maybe not with you guys, but I feel like since people started walking away from their deities, like the actual like deities, gods or whatever,
Right.
People have adopted politicians and politics.
You said it here before, as their god.
as their
or
god
religion.
and religion.
Right.
And so people will literally fight tooth and nail to protect that because it is such a huge
It's
part
the answer
of
to
their
everything. To them.
identity.
It's their foundation.
Yeah, it's their foundation.
Well, we call them
So,
statists.
when we say things that disturb your foundation,
Right.
you react with hate and rage and anger because you're scared. Our show scares you.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. It's a natural progression. Listen to what we say, look it up for yourselves. You'll come to the conclusion. I mean, I could say a few of us here at this table came to the conclusion that
None of us started out this way.
government and control is not the answer.
We're still learning and fine tuning
Right.
our philosophies and the fine tuning the principles that we believe in.
But it's an
every day.
It's an everyday thing, though.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
I'm never gonna wake up and be like, this is how it is today. No, you have to be open minded, right? Like you keep your fundamental cores at heart, and you learn and grow.
Like, I wanted to throw out a number that we got away from it, but the unemployment rate. So check this out.
All right, Bo's pumping the brakes on us.
Yeah.
We're going back into some numbers shit.
Well,
like
I
you like
was
so
trying
much.
to get in there, but I didn't have a chance. You guys went.
Oh, okay. Just do
that
your
was-
fucking
Okay,
thing.
anyways.
Let's spit it out.
Anyways.
Damn it.
So February, okay, unemployment rate was 3.5%. Now it's at 13%.
All Trump's fault.
Check this
Yeah,
out.
it's all the government's fault.
So from March 22nd to 28th, that's 7 days. More than 10 million people applied for unemployment that week.
Dude,
1 week.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a mixture between, you got the federal government and you have your state governments, and It's
So
a
think
mixture
about
between
that.
all of them that we have this problem.
Is
And
this
it should-
quarantine worth that?
That's it. Most people that are all scared at home are going to say yes.
The ones that are okay with it are the ones that can work from home and still
You
getting paid.
don't live by fear.
Yeah.
Just use your brain. Be smart.
not
So
worth
we've always talked about on the podcast: reason, logic, evidence, fact. Like go by those things.
Right.
Don't rule your life by emotion. We've gone through this
Yeah.
before, and this is all emotional.
Big time.
Big fucking time.
Huge.
Well,
Because everybody's scared.
Right.
It always boils down to fear.
It's
It
not
comes
the
down-
government's job to keep
Yeah.
you safe, and that's pretty much what we've said from day one on the show.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. From guns to pandemics to whatever it is to economic shit. It's not the government's job to come in there and put a tariff on something.
The government
There's
is
no
only
difference.
good at finding threats. That's it. That's all they're good for. Finding a threat.
Yep.
Nothing else. Not to regulate our industries. Not to tell me which lakes I can fish in. Not to tell me where I can hike. None of that stuff. You see, the problem. I'm going to sit up a little bit because I got a story to tell. The problem is we have too much money in government. Now, if you take all the politicians and you tell them that their job is voluntary, how many politicians do you think would stick around?
None of the ones that are there now.
None of the ones that are there now. So the problem is they've forgotten who they work for. First off, first off, their government. That's the first problem. Second, they've forgotten who they work for, and third, they've amassed too much wealth, too much money, and the only thing that would change that is if we had a national convention, and that's when all the states get together, basically rewrite the Constitution. Two-thirds of all the states have to participate, and 2/3 of all the United States population has to vote on it and approve the changes. So we can make amendments to the Constitution or change policies like term limit, impose term limits, stuff like that.
I feel like they've already amended it a bunch of times, and that never even happened.
Well, we've never had a convention of states.
Right,
So-
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They still have amended it even
So-
without that.
That still sounds to me like statism.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
still
yeah,
state,
for sure.
it's still stated.
But it's a step forward.
It's
Now-
definitely a step in the path that we would want to go.
So it's a step. So it is participating in a system that we don't agree with. But for right now, until we can get that system reduced down to a reasonable size, maybe there is something in participating. But I'm not saying that I'm having a fucking epiphany here.
No, no,
realizing
no,
I
no,
should
no.
start voting all of a
No, no,
sudden.
no,
I'm just
fuck
saying
no.
that, like,
No. That's not what I'm saying either.
yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying that
that would be a stepping stone.
there's a step, there's a start.
I still don't like it.
My problem with the whole system right now is that everybody's vote, if you do vote, should matter. But right now, it's only a few states where if you vote, it actually matters.
See, my take's completely different. I would say that it should be spread by information and learning the principles that actually govern our lives. That, like I said, once again, individualism, self-ownership, non-aggression principle, voluntarism. Those are the things that if everyone knew those things and actually applied those to their life, you wouldn't need any of this. And eventually everyone would just be like, well, why are we voting? That's called mob rule. We're now controlling people, and we're basically letting people bully us and boss us and imprison us. And why would you want that? And that's where I would come from it. I would say it's definitely more about principles and the education of that versus voting. Voting is not the answer. That's the reason why we're here. That's just my take.
Yep.
There you go. So Eric, buddy Eric chimed in. He said, "Yeah, the original government was voluntary, and they were only given a meals per diem."
It was a civic
So-
duty. It was a civic
Dude,
duty.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
They actually
that's fucking.
No, I
shit.
said so. We even said this last week. Go back and look at what the founding fathers were doing, right?
Yeah.
And I said I am no status, not saying that at all. What they leaned very close to is close freedom as you can get with minimal government, which I don't agree with. But I'm saying they were the closest thing, right? They would be stacking fucking bodies right now.
Yep.
Just saying.
For lunch.
Yeah.
Just saying.
For lunch, they would do
Oh,
this
man.
for lunch.
They
bro.
would be tearing.
If you like the
through-
founding fathers,
They would be tearing through every
Go read their
government
shit.
building, blowing up every
Dude,
fucking thing.
it would be
dude.
crazy.
Well, they didn't get paid. It was a civic duty.
Yeah, but we went past that already.
Yeah.
We covered that.
Yeah.
We're just saying they would be going after motherfuckers.
Well, I know.
Be chitty chitty bang bang.
I mean,
Clapped
so,
up.
So say that we finally got to that convention. We could change term limits. These guys could only be there for 2 years. You know, they couldn't make a
I'm
salary.
checking out of the conversation.
They couldn't make a salary. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. I know it's statism, but I mean that's like
It's what we have right
the
now.
closest thing to anything changing is probably that. I'd like to see the whole thing go away.
But it's not going to happen all at once.
No, it's not going to happen all at once. Baby steps.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we're
Anything going on,
talking
chat?
about our principles, we have to do this in baby steps.
Yeah,
So we
we
got-
already covered that.
I got it. So so Aaron says people who call it democracy mob rule
Mhm.
are against people power. Of course, that's what the owning class calls it too. Eric comes in. He says this looks like it's a poem of some sort or a passage. It says, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal power controls on government would be necessary. And it's quoted by Federalist Papers.
Fuck the Federalist
Ian
Papers.
says, did y'all see the small protest that's going on in Morgan Hill? Yes, we
Yes.
did, Ian. We did talk about that already. I
Right.
guess that's what you said.
Yeah, we covered that a bit.
Yeah, we talked about that already. You'll have to go back and rewatch. Probably like right around the hour mark, I'd say.
So who would be the one to designate if you're an angel or a demon or whatever? That's what I would say.
Well, this is the thing. Like, if we're not fit to govern ourselves, then who's fit to govern us?
Yeah. So individuals, we've covered this. So the individual is not allowed to govern themselves, right? Because they're not good enough to. You need a bunch of other individuals to come in. Remember, we went through this whole fucking thing, and that's why I don't agree with that at all. Who is to deem
Well, I mean, we
that
talked
someone
about
is right or wrong?
we talked about representation, and the only person that can properly represent you is you,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So we don't need a representative. Our state representative is
Oh, fuck.
Nancy Pelosi,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
I've never met her. I've never met her.
Who does
She
she
doesn't know.
represent?
She doesn't know about me. She knows a demographic of the people I'm part of, and maybe the level of wealth that we have in this area.
Mhm.
That's what they care about. They don't care about me as an individual.
Yeah.
Well, we had that happen
Yeah.
on the show when Jamie one time said, what was it, Jamie? About like, oh yeah, you'd vote for me or whatever the hell and all that stuff. And I go, no, I wouldn't.
No.
Because you're like, I know pretty much what you, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't
Right.
want that.
But it's like, it isn't, but it's a principle thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I get it. I totally get
Yeah.
it.
It's principle.
Like if I had to, sure, I would vote for you to represent
you
me.
would be a way better.
But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that.
But I wouldn't. I don't want no ruler.
But nobody can represent you better than yourself.
Right.
But okay, just to be sure, like what my buddy Eric here was talking about, that was like obviously like a passage, right? That was meant to be two extremes, whatever,
Right,
to
right.
express a point. So it wasn't meant to be literal.
No,
No
no,
one's
no.
gonna be.
No, yeah.
No one's gonna be the you are an angel, you are a demon
Yeah.
kind of. That was
Well,
a hypothetical, right?
to get to what you were saying, Chris, is like, so I'll say a sobriety program that I used to participate in. We had a thing called general service. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at the lowest level, you have the individual,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the group, you have the area, then you have the general service conference. Okay.
Right.
The board or whatever. So you have the individual, the group would elect what's called the general service representative. Every year we get topics from the general service board. We discuss them among the individuals. And the point we always try to get across, it's not about yes or no with these topics. It's like, why do you want this or why don't you want this? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So then we go to this general service assembly where we have our delegate to the conference. Everybody that's representing the groups gets to go up to the podium and give their piece. You know what I'm saying? They bring that group conscience to the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, all these positions are voluntary.
Yeah.
And all you
100%
can do
voluntary,
is
yeah.
move up. You can't. So they have area officer positions too, like treasurer and all that.
Right.
But once you become delegate and your 2-year term limit's up, you can't go back and become an area officer or move back down.
Yeah.
You're done. That's the highest level of service you can be.
Right.
And you're done.
See, so like in an anarchy type society, right? A free market society, you could have different territories that would be like that, right? You could have a communist area. You could have anything you want. As long as no one's forcing you to stay there, then no one else would have a problem with it. Because then that would violate voluntarism or non-aggression principle or self-ownership, right? So you could voluntarily go into any place like that. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with democracy is existing inside a freedom-based world, right? But that would be voluntary if you wanted to participate in it.
Well,
And then
that's
you
what
would
he's
sign
saying.
a contract not a social contract that's a make-believe version. You would actually sign up, hey, I am blah, 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 and I agree with these terms. Now I've created a contract. Now I'm here. That would be fine. No one would have a problem with
the only money you're getting for that.
But I don't like any of these things. To me, it feels like don't boss me, bro, and stay out of my business.
So one thing that Eric did clarify on here says about that passage that he wrote says it's saying that if it were perfect, it's saying that if it were perfect, it would be unnecessary. Its existence shows that men are flawed, right?
Yeah. No, I got totally what he was saying.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with him. I have a problem with that whole thing. I get it. I understand that completely.
Yes.
There is no way. Who is the one to say that? That's what I said. Who is to say that I am an angel or a demon? Right? Like, who is to say that? To be clear, that's what I was getting at. Like, it's not. Who the fuck? It's supposed to be government or the founding fathers to deem that, or a religious text or whatever. Right. No, fuck that. It's about individualism and the individual making their own rules for their own life, as long as they're not harming anyone else.
Plainly put, I mean, it's kind
as a libertarian.
It's kind of about us then, right? Because here's what we're doing: like, we recognize that men are flawed. Men as a race, humans, right, are flawed.
Right.
And
speak for yourself.
We have.
Yeah, you're perfect, Johnny.
We have some philosophies that we try to teach here that are going to maybe make us a little less flawed if we share them around.
Right.
Non-aggression principle being a huge one. I struggle daily trying to adopt the non-aggression principle in my life. As soon as I feel like I want to yell at somebody for cutting me off in traffic, like, I should be allowed to express myself, but did they hurt anybody? Did they break laws? Yeah. Did they hurt anybody? No. Okay, well, fuck it.
No victim, no crime.
Yep.
Just my feelings.
It's one of the and that has been my most.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's
personal
non-aggression principle, really, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, what are you going to be, emotionalist? That you want to be a Vulcan from
no,
Star
but
Trek?
I just actually, if I could be,
I want to be pure logic.
Yeah, just logic all the time, not clouded by anything that's going to make you make a decision that is not like the most logical one. That would be depriving me of humanity.
Well, ultimately, usually people's morals.
Pretty cool. You'll turn
but
that
then
on
what is logic though? Like, well, okay, you like Skynet. Humans are the problem, so logically, let's kill all humans.
No, logic. Logic is iRobot. Remember how Will Smith got saved by the robot because the little girl had a lower probability chance of surviving? That's logic. That's logic.
That's my point, though. Is that Skynet is logical too, though. It's like humans are the problem. Let's exterminate all humans. If you live only,
you're now talking about sci-fi robots.
Are you trying to have a conversation, or are you just trying to like go
railroad it?
No, I'm trying to get your point by living.
I'm just saying.
By logic.
You're comparing the individual human. You're comparing the individual human to robots. That's not what we're talking about here.
I was talking about living completely by logic.
You have to, yes.
Okay, but a Vulcan
fact,
doesn't believe that.
Evidence, emotionless is the way that you should make your decisions to govern your life. That is how you should do it.
Well, Spock was because he's only half Vulcan.
He did have it.
What?
I don't know.
He's looking for a sweater.
Oh,
because we are outside.
It's chilly. Yeah, it's starting to get a little cold. Yeah. Anyway, that was the whole thing. Bender is boss. Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, Bender's the shit.
Bender wants to drink beer and smoke cigars.
Kiss my shiny metal ass.
Steal shit.
Bender.
I love Bender.
Kiss my shiny metal ass.
Fucking A.
I'd actually argue that Bender is the ultimate libertarian. He does what the fuck he wants.
No, he's not. He steals from people and he creates violence. So therefore,
he's a religious zealot too.
Okay, then.
Oh yeah. He's a what?
He just doesn't believe in the non-aggression principle.
He's anarchist.
At all.
That's not an anarchist.
He's a pirate. No, he's a pirate.
He's a pirate.
If anything.
He wants to steal
pirate.
He doesn't obey men's laws.
He also wants to kill all humans. So there's
every once in a while. Not all the time.
I mean, who doesn't?
Kill all humans. Jesus Christ.
So once again, people, what I'm trying to say is maybe everyone should learn and go revisit self-ownership, voluntarism, individualism, non-aggression principle, and maybe you would understand where I'm coming from, especially, and these guys.
Yeah.
I try to come by it as much as I can, principle, and listen to the different people talking about it, even the cons of people against it. Listen to it all. Like, I'm not saying don't listen to what's against it. I mean, they're all going to say that we're idealistic and sure, whatever you want to say. But I lead by a code, and I try to lead that in life in general.
My mom called me a utopianist last week. Like when I was like, yeah, well, I don't really believe in all that. I think we should just that should exist.
So when some statist calls a anarchist or a fucking libertarian a utopianist, who really is the utopianist that's trying to create all these laws and control people and threat of force to create a better society? They're the utopianists, not us.
I'm like, I just think that like we can make do without all this. And like, well, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, no one not pointing a gun at your head to
Not
tell you
allowed.
what to do? That's ridiculous.
We're ridiculous.
Insane.
It's like we argued this before.
No,
we
I've
all
been
said that we
ridiculous
all
a lot in my life, dude.
we all said that we self-govern
A lot.
ourselves 99% of the time during the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So what's the fucking difference?
I know.
I ain't stealing shit from Chris. Chris ain't stealing shit from me. We're not fighting each other. You know what I mean? We have a mutual friendship contract saying that we respect each other. I beneficially get selfishness because he's on the show with me. He's my friend. It's out of selfishness. Like,
Vice
there's nothing
versa.
wrong with
Yeah.
that.
What's
Right.
after?
I
what's
gained
after-
something from him. He gained something from me.
Right.
What's
It-
after
it-
101 in college classes?
101
What's the
in-
next one? Is you go straight to 201 or do you go to 102?
Niner.
I think you go. Yeah, I think
All
there's
right,
a
we
niner.
should
in
just
this
do being a good human niner. We need a follow up. I think we need to rediscuss all the principles of individuality, individualism.
Well, we were gonna
voluntarism.
when we first were gonna
Non-dress
start
principle.
when we were gonna start the podcast for season 2. That's how we were gonna start going into it. Remember, start
Yeah.
talking about all the concepts
the
and stuff.
principles.
But we just got stuck with this whole Corona.
We got Rona.
Coronas.
My
Coronas.
We got Rona.
All right, well, we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
now.
I think we're good.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'm ready to
and
go
call it a day,
home.
guys.
Yeah.
Chris,
He's
wants
ready to go
find out-
quarantine.
He wants to go quarantine himself again.
He's like in the bath. And he's like Ace
All right.
Ventura.
I think he's getting a little paranoid that I might hug him from behind.
Let me do my thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, so really, do you want him hugging you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for making it out again. We really appreciate you coming in to the chat. Thanks for we got Eric, Ian, Aaron, TJ showed up.
Corey.
Bianca.
Corey showed up. Bianca showed up. Val was in there. Sorry for anyone I missed. You guys, if you got some sweet merchandise, go over to shop.spreadshirt.com/Grim86 and buy yourself some sweet gear. It's guaranteed to get you laid.
Swag.
Swag. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Pornhub, and
Fuck yeah,
Instagram. We're also available on Twitter and Patreon, but fuck it, we don't really use those. And we'll catch you guys next time. Meet us next Monday around the same time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing a live stream. So
Yeah. And remember, mostly Facebook and YouTube are our main where it's updated all the time.
yes,
Yeah, check out our
Yeah.
videos we do every day.
And even during the quarantine, taxation is still theft.
Absolutely. Make
That's
sure
it
you
for
guys-
us. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Hit the like button up there. That one, I'm pointing to it. It's probably over here for you if you guys see it wherever. Make sure you guys like that. And it helps us out a lot. Appreciate it.
Down. I don't know.
Is it down? Is it down?
Big shout
It's
out.
below.
Yeah, whatever. All right, take us out, Chris. Thank you.
All right, we are out of here. Thank you guys for joining us for another exciting
Live stream.
episode,
Live
live stream of Grim 86 Freedom First podcast. Join us again next week. We'll be here for some more quarantine fun. Check out Johnny's videos. We are out of here, everybody. Peace.